Introducing TrueDisc, an innovative new scorekeeping app for your smartphone. TrueDisc ensures that you get the most accurate data possible at all times. Not sure if you walked a little bit too far when you measured your last throw? TrueDisc stamps every misrepresented throw with our trademarked Internet Distance Badge before you can share it to social media. Buy TrueDisc in the App Store or Google Play for just 4 easy payments of $19.99 plus shipping and handling. But wait, there's more! Call in the next 20 minutes and upgrade to TrueDisc Pro for free. TrueDisc Pro allows you to get honest advice from the AI Pro of your choice.
Hey Germ, think I can make it over the pond?
Yeah, sure, Simon. Go for it.
I'm Andrew.
You know what? Go for it, but go for it with a Big Germ Thunderbird. That way you can buy another one after you throw this in the water.
Paige, should I throw a putter or a mid-range here?
So what is going to give me the most confidence to hit the gap? Will it be the soft beat of a putter? Will it be the sharper edge of a mid-range? Everyone was cheering Mugs and Smugs. Man, it was so awesome. One of the best moments of my life.
Paige, I'm gonna go ahead and throw.
Hey Eric, should I throw a felon here?
Felons are awesome!
Well, yeah, but I mean, is it the right disc for the shot?
Felons are awesome!
All right! Hannah, what did I get there?
You got a 7, Dave.
Put me down for a 5.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Go to udisc.com and use the code TrueDisc to get the real UDisc Pro free for 1 month.
Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 coverage here at the PDGA Pro World Championships. Round 2 means that the MPO division takes on Northwood Gold, and we are getting it started with Emerson Keith, the leader through 2 rounds. He was not shy about the stage today. Getting it started with a kooky route around the right side, but no problem. Taps in the birdie 2. Here he is, flexing that sidearm strength again, going power off the tee and finesse in the field. Emerson would be hot early. Here he is showing off that backhand strength, absolutely puring this line on hole 6 and sneaking in that circle's edge putt. The only knock on the round was the C1X putting, as he missed a handful of very makeable putts.
Sometimes you're not 100% on. Luckily enough today, I was able to be close enough for a lot of those birdies to get the putter in the basket. And yesterday I had, I think, 17 for 17, 100% inside the circle. So I know that I can do it. I just let a couple leak to the right or left, and tomorrow I'll just maybe focus a little bit more on my putts, take a little bit more time, and hopefully drain them.
After an unfortunate bogey on the brutal par 5 hole 12, Emerson would turn it on. Once again showing off that well-rounded game, Emerson goes sidearm off the tee on 14, and again here on 17. That is such a powerful shot to get it all the way up to the pin. Your leader through 2 rounds, Emerson has a few things on his mind as he's expecting his first child within a matter of days.
It's good. She's doing great. She actually went back to work today. So she's working, she's doing good. I'm in the top 10, so I'm here to stay.
Hot on Emerson's heels, Paul McBeth is more determined than ever to lock down this 5th world title, and today he made his statement. Here he is on hole 1, threading the needle and knocking in the putt. He would start off relatively slow, so we're picking back up on hole 10, where he shows off his precision. That shot is all the way down the neck, leaving just a simple putter approach on the tough par 4 hole 10. Hole 11, the sneaky long sidearm hole, yet to see anybody really get up onto the green. Paul says no problem though, as he hits the circle's edge putt. Really, the only trouble Paul would find on the round is this misfired layup here, getting a little bit too aggressive. Oh, and not able to hit the comebacker, his only bogey on an incredible round.
And that was just a dumb mistake. I was too aggressive on that putt. I was trying to lay it up, but get it too close. I should have just left it about 20 feet and hit a tree and was about 50 feet. So, yeah, 11's not bad, but I think I can improve a little bit more 2 days from now.
McBeth would bounce right back from that bogey, though, carding a birdie on the next 5 out of 6 holes, including a long putt on 16. An absolutely pure drive on 17 leaves him just a bit long, but no problem. He hits the comebacker. A 4 birdie streak to finish only serves to hunger the McBeast even further as he heads into round 3.
Just get rid of those OBs. I had an OB on 2, OB on 3, a few other ones. So just get rid of those. I feel like, yeah, 17 was another OB. So just clean those up and still kind of get those same amount of birdies so I can shoot even hotter.
One of the biggest movers and shakers off of the chase card, Anthony Barela, normally known as a power player, but showed off the finesse here at the technical Northwood Golds. Getting a birdie on hole 1 is crucial. Now, the first sense of trouble, though, would come on hole 4. Fighting his way down all the way through the woods, he would find himself outside the circle, attempting to save 5. AB would find his groove, though, here on the long and technical hole 11, lacing the sidearm, catching a tree, but no problem. The 91-foot standstill putt to get him back in the game. Hole 14 card another birdie. Let's string them together, though, because on 15, it's more of the same. The ridiculously stable disc thrown on an unbelievable amount of ante means that AB comes in with the 8 under par, putting himself on lead card entering round 3. James Conrad carded a respectable 5 under par, but maybe the most impressive thing today was his birdie on the par 5. He is one of one to be able to say that they accomplished that feat today, and it just so happened to be on video. Power off the tee, extreme power off the second shot, but a really touchy rock approach leaves him about 45 feet, and that's his money range, knocking it down for the first ever recorded 4 on camera. Checking in with our leaderboard entering that 3rd round at Eureka, Emerson Keith holds on to that lead by 1 over McBeth. AB and Chris Clemons round out that leader card, being chased by a host of skilled golfers. Make sure you are checking it out on all our media providers and check in with PDGA all week long.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to round number 3 here at the 2019 PDGA Professional World Championships. Terry Miller alongside Robert McCall. And Robert, wow, we just got done watching some of the action, most of it taking place on UDisc Live here, right. Checking out the FPO action and even a 3-stroke swing on the very final hole there. I've got to assume we're going to see some big things on the MPO side. And right off the bat, I've got to lead with Eagle McMahon shredding Lake Eureka at the moment. I think the last time I looked, he was 11 under through 14 holes. He's got a lot of ground to make up, and it looks like he's trying to do it right now.
Yeah, he was having he's on a tough first couple of rounds. Didn't really play up to his standards for sure, but he was on the card that I was walking around with a little bit today at Eureka. And yeah, I mean, he was just finding good spots. He birdied 1, birdied 2. little bit tough on 3 and 4, and then after that, looks like he just went to shred town. I mean,
yeah, and I already stand corrected. He also birdied hole number 16, so that puts him at 12 under through 16 holes. 17 and 18. We'll see how those two play out, but clearly an incredible round. In talking to Josh Anthon a few days ago, I'm staying near him, he had said 17 is one of those holes where it's either a 2 or a 4.
Yeah.
You put it on the green,
you get a 2.
You're going to get the birdie. If you miss it, you should be able to get up and down relatively easy from the drop zone.
Yep.
So we're going to keep an eye on Eagle, but what an incredible performance by Eagle so far today. Right now it shows him moving up 30 spots into a tie for 9th, but everybody else in front of him still have plenty of birdies of their own to go out and get it, like Eureka.
Yeah, they got some work to do if they're wanting to catch up with our leaders here. Emerson Keith sitting at 22 under par through 2 rounds. He's averaging like 1087 or something. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then conversely, Paul McBeth, I think, is averaging 1083 and is sitting in second. I hate it when I average 1083.
That's usually, that's my typical average, but usually I'm in second like this weekend.
All right, looks like we're live and on the team, ready to go with our leader, Emerson Keith.
Keith likes to throw the defender a lot for a lot of these tee shots, so expect to see defender out of the box here. Nice turn. Never in danger unless the danger is going OB long. And that's prime position. He'll be pleased with that.
Next up,
that grass is thick.
Huntington Beach, California, 4-time world champion, Paul McBeth.
McBeth shooting the hot round yesterday and failing to take the lead because of Keith's hot play. We'll see if they continue to distance themselves from the pack or if they kind of have, standard rounds. For some reason, I think they're going to continue to distance themselves from the pack. This is a Discraft Onyx off the tee for McBeth. Much less than distance driver. Great position.
Next up, from Mesa, Arizona, Anthony Barela.
Barela, one of the young talents in the game. No shortage of power.
No shortage of height either.
Yeah, he's a tall fellow.
And he's put a move on this. He is one of those people that have to worry about throwing it too far. And
yeah, he's done just that.
A little too much juice here this morning for Barela. He's gone out of bounds long.
From Kansas City, Missouri, Chris Clemons.
And for all those lefties out there, what is it, about 5% of the population?
Yeah, something like that.
Be ready to take some notes. Chris Clemons is going to put on a show for us here from the opposite side.
Defender for Clemons, just trying to play very safe. He needs that to get down as the OB does narrow over there. He's good.
All right, I believe we may have a check-in with Dixon Jowers to see what's going on out on the course. What do you got for us, Dixon?
Welcome everybody out here to Lake Eureka for the 3rd round coverage here at the 2019 Professional World Championships, and it's going to be a good day. The sun was out bright earlier, and over the course of about the last half hour, the clouds have moved in. The wind was up to about 10 or 15 miles an hour, and up until pretty much AB through, it was completely dead. Starting to pick back up just a little bit now. In speaking with our competitors as they were getting ready for the round, for the most part, everybody's kind of relaxed. Anthony is the only one that's kind of a little bit on edge, that, it's starting to build that this is Worlds. Obviously, Paul's been here a few times. Emerson, as we'll talk about later on, has got some other things going on outside of this tournament to kind of keep his mind occupied. And Clemons he's just really calmed down. Here's something to keep in mind of if you want to get into the players' heads a little bit for Paul and for the rest of the card. As of today, nobody on this lead card has ever finished in front of Paul McBeth at a tournament. They've got to think about that. Paul already knows that. Let's see how it plays out for him as they get started here for round 3.
Thank you very much, Dixon. And what an interesting statistic or piece of information that no one on this card has ever beat Paul McBeth before in a tournament. That's Is that pretty daunting in of itself?
Yeah, I would say so. It's like we talk about McBeth's dominance over the last several years, and some people are saying, I don't know if he's going to have it. He very much has it, playing incredibly well this year. And yeah, if you were going to beat Paul, the last couple of years really seems like the years to have done it, as he's been playing exceptional golf this year.
Well, some would say slay the beast, or possibly keep McBeast at bay. And one way or another, we're going to see a great battle unfold. Earlier today, when I was watching the FPO field, we were noticing that there is just there's so many opportunities there for people to go out and take the lead, transitions to happen back and forth. I don't know that we're going to see that here in the MPO field quite as much. You mentioned a moment ago, it feels like these two have almost started to distance themselves. They've got a few strokes on the card. McBeth already being 6 clear of third place. So we'll see if they continue to push one another, or in hearing from Paul, he's got to wonder, okay, Emerson's clearly good and he's got the shots. Does he have the longevity? Can he maintain with the pressure? Because we know Paul can.
Yeah, I think so. I was really impressed. Jomez put out, they've been putting out that profiled series on YouTube the last few days, and I watched the one about Emerson Keith today. And if you haven't done so already, I know that, this isn't Jomez's channel, and so sorry, Terry and Johnny and all you guys. But
they do better live than they do.
They're so much better live. That's just what I hear on the internet. But if you haven't done so already, take 5 minutes during a walk and go watch that profiled about Emerson Keith. Super cool to watch just his motivation behind disc golf and getting to where he is today. You need to check it out.
It's an incredible story. I actually consumed it as well this morning, and it was very well done, of course, as everything is by Jomez, and it gives you a little insight into Emerson. Some of that I actually captured, we captured a few days ago on a podcast with him, and he was such a pleasure to have on the show, and it's great to see him performing at this level this week.
Clemons playing forehand up the hill. He needs a little bit more climb from that. That's going to be inside the circle, putting uphill at the basket. And this is one of the easier holes on the course for our competitors, coming in around 7th to 8th easiest hole throughout the day. Lots and lots of birdie threes coming in on hole 1 so far. And really the only trouble that you find is if you happen to go out of bounds, either short in the water or long like Anthony Barela. When I played Ledgestone here, I went out of bounds long twice. And I'll tell you, I'm not a long distance thrower, but if that disc just gets turned, because the ground drops out so quickly, it's very easy to go OB long.
Well, you have to wonder if that was the play by, say, Paul McBeth, going with something a little bit slower. That Onyx that he throws is not the fastest disc in his bag, and it seemed as if maybe he was laying off of it just a little bit so that he didn't have to worry about OB. And Barela trying to get up and down to possibly save his par, and that is out of bounds again for Anthony Barela.
He's going to be looking at 5 at best at this point. Should have decent footing for his putt back toward the basket, but not the start he was looking for by any means.
You see the gallery in the background. Looks like we've got quite a few fans out there. I'm sure that gallery will continue to grow. This course, even more so than out at the Northwoods course, really is very inviting and is just a great place to provide that venue for a large gallery to come out and join us in person.
That's exactly right. And we've got, as I said before, 36%, pardon me, of the open field carding the birdie 3. That's 70 players so far. And one of the issues that our players are going to have to contend with is if they land on the side of the hill right here, the camera absolutely does not do it justice just how steep this hill is. So the closer you are to the basket, the less that footing is going to really mess with what you've got going on. McBeth is plenty close enough. He's got Big Z Luna in his hand, and this will just be a bit of a chip shot.
Fantastic start here for Paul McBeth. You can all but count it, as he's going to be opening up here on hole number 1 with a birdie And also, speaking of birdies, the Eagle tracker, Eagle has landed on 17 with another birdie. So that's putting Eagle McBeth at 13 under with just one hole left to play.
Just a quick correction, Eagle McMahon. You said Eagle McBeth. That would be the best disc golfer ever.
Oh my!
It was Eagle McMahon. He's the one who's on the birdie.
Well, he's doing good as well. Thank you for that. And
beautiful approach from Emerson Keith, inside 10 feet with his justice. Just as we expected, 2 great birdie looks from our leaders out of the gate. And someone to watch out for on the Nico Arrows side of UDisc Live. If you don't have the UDisc app or aren't on udisclive.com, you got to figure it out. Okay, get the UDisc app. Go to udisclive.com. You can see the same statistics that we're talking about on the broadcast here. Kevin Jones through 4 holes is a perfect 4 under, trying to make his statement for the lead card tomorrow.
It's about 5 feet or so out in the water.
Did it hit the branches?
It came in front of this.
In front of this? Right here?
Yeah, and then it's like right kind of where that log is out there.
all right, so it looks like a little bit of conversation as to where he might have gone out of bounds, also then where he'll get to take his lie. So he may not have an unobstructed view at the basket from where he's at, depending on the lie they're going to give him.
Clemons off to a great start, converting for his birdie up the hill. Barela, so yeah, taps in for his 5. Disappointingly, but first hole, plenty of golf left today. As expected, Emerson Keith in for his birdie. When I messaged Hannah McBeth about what Paul was going to be throwing today, she said his plan was Onyx, Luna, drop in. It was pretty close. She sent a smiley face. It was her saying that, not him. But yeah, that was pretty accurate.
All right, we're going to take a look at hole number 2, thanks to some drone preview coverage brought to us by Central Coast. And a rewind button.
Hole 2 is coming in as the 5th most difficult hole on the course, 4.53 scoring average. There's just out of bounds everywhere. To the right side by the tree line here, as well as the left side by the water over there. Drives that do pretty well can kind of land near the shelter, and that can open up a backhand angle into the green or even a better forehand angle into the green as the green slopes from right to left toward the water. There's one tree that's inside the circle that can knock down some potential birdie opportunities. But for the most part, you really just want to find the short grass on your drive, see what kind of angle you have into the green. 4 is never going to kill you here, as we have 44% of the open field carding that par 4. Only 12% so far today carding the birdie 3. That's 23 players.
And if everyone would like to sound or maybe even look as smart as Robert, again, head out to UDisc Live. All of the statistics, all of those details are out there and available to you as well. More often than not, when you pull up the card or the app, you're going to see the scores tab. However, you can move over to the player stats. You could also check out the course stats, and that breaks down every single throw made by every player and how the statistics work out for the entire round. And it, of course, has everything archived. So if you'd like to check out something from yesterday or from last year's Ledgestone Insurance Open, you can do so as well.
This will be forehand stiletto for Keith. Very proficient forehand player. Looked as if he almost got over that branch that he's trying to beat. That appears to be safe. I believe this is going to be Avenger SS, so that's a roller for McBeth. Very aggressive play to get a long ways down the fairway. This is standing up nicely. He needs a little bit more right. And on cue, he gets it within 5 feet of the water's edge to basically A1 position, way down there. Might have one tree to contend with just in front of him, but McBeth has every shot in the bag. Expect to have a good look at birdie for him. This is Explorer for Chris Clemons, and this is a beautiful shape for a lefty. Great position for his approach. The shot shape would be beautiful for anybody, but the hole is shaped beautifully for a lefty. Anthony Barela forcing something over stable.
Oh, and that's going to flirt with the OB, and he's going to find it on the wrong side of the OB. Anthony Barela definitely frustrated with that. Yeah, looks slightly dejected. We're going to move over to a word from our sponsors.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
So after hitting the branch in the fairway, this is Emerson Keith. From farther back than he'd like to be on the fairway, I don't see a route where Keith can get aggressive to the basket here. I think this is really just going to be a layup to take an easy 4. That's exactly what we see. Good safe play from Keith. He'll have a straight forehand approach down to the basket. As our competitors walk down the fairway here, we want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already done so, if you would like this stream, we'd love to get some more likes on here, and go ahead and subscribe to SmashBoxxTV's channel. Ring that bell so that you are notified whenever we go live for some live disc golf, as well as nightly podcasts every Tuesday. Sorry, weekly podcasts every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central. You can step inside the Smashbox just like I do every single week.
We thank you for that, Robert. And we are already pushing over 5,200 viewers here. And thank you guys so much. There's been times, Robert, where we think, wow, 5,200 would be a great peak number to have at the final round of an event. And here we are already at that number on day number 3. And Chris Clemons approached just a bit short. Now, what is he going to have to be worried about in terms of that putt? How close does that water come into play behind that basket?
He's going to be just outside circle 1, it looks like. And the water behind the basket, from his perspective, is probably only 25 feet or so. So he can't get super aggressive, but Clemens' style of putt isn't a real big spin putt. It's kind of more of a pitch putt or a push putt. So he shouldn't have to worry about the water too much. Barela with the aggressive forehand line toward the basket. That limb might have taken off the speed that he needed, although it could have he might have just been parked. Either way, he's underneath that tree inside the circle putting for his 4.
And a quick update, Eagle McMahon is on hole 18 putting for birdie.
Oh my goodness.
So if he can convert on this, that would push him to 14 under out of 18 holes.
That's a 49. Come on, man. That's one. I'm telling you right now, if he makes that, and he does. Wow, that's an 1100 rated round. Probably 11-0 something. Incredible stuff.
It might even be a 1200 rated round.
Yeah, our first one ever.
Okay, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but congratulations, Eagle McMahon came out to play today, and he's done that and then some. Just incredible. And McBeth hangs that wide, and he has a little look of frustration, as I saw in the other camera angle. Not quite the release he was looking for, and I'm not sure that he's going to have a clean putt at the basket. This may be a forced layup from that position.
Yeah, McBeth bit off so much off the tee. It's got to be frustrating to land just behind a tree and in a weird spot, where normally that distance would be easy birdie range. Emerson Keith playing the nice forehand layup, settling inside 10 feet. That'll be an easy par.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around the score of 14 under par. Just carded a few moments ago, and really putting that into bigger perspective. Not only has he momentarily moved up 34 spots, he's 14 under par for that round. That puts him at 16 under par for the tournament. So that tells you just how much ground he had to make up, and he continued, in going out and doing so today. Emerson Keith started out today at 22 under par. Oh, and that does sit down for Clemons, but it sounded like good change, just a tad off the mark. And McBeth didn't even give us a chance to set up, actually, from our other camera position. He just walked up, and you saw the disc slide into frame. That was Paul McBeth laying up for the birdie. So now he's going to be tapping in for his par.
Oh, and out the right side for Barela, who's had a tough start. Bogey out of the gate. Just to put Eagles round in perspective a little bit, the Ledgestone Insurance Open is contested on the Lake Eureka course each year. This year there were 3 rounds played on the Lake Eureka course where Paul McBeth came out on top. 5 players finished the entire week of 3 rounds better than 14 under par. 5. If Eagle had just shot that round and then 2 evens, he would have finished in standalone 6th place at Ledgestone Insurance this year. Incredible round from McMahon.
We're going to take a long walk over to hole number 3, and I think we're going to have a hole preview brought to us by Central Coast. The shortest hole on the course. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so this says 260 feet. It plays more like 290 or 300 feet. This is the 5th easiest hole on the course today. More than half of the open field taking the par 3. really what there is there's a gap straight down the middle. You can throw putter down there. You can throw mid-range down there, just something that you keep out of the trees. There's a very tight hyzer gap to the right side, as well as a slightly more open forehand gap or left-hand hyzer gap over the OB path. That's an extremely aggressive play. I think we might see Chris Clemons or maybe Emerson Keith take that play out the left side, but just to keep it safe, throw it down the middle, miss all the trees, make your putt easy. That's the way that we draw it up.
It is, and I've been a little bit surprised to see some people get in trouble here by hitting on that left side and going over the OB path on the left. And I think back to a few days ago, seeing that there were actually a couple fives carded here. Josh Anthon started the tournament with birdie, and then surprisingly took a 5 here. So this one can come out and bite you if you're not careful.
Emerson Keith has stiletto in his hand, so I'm telling you right now, he's going over the path. This is a very aggressive play from Keith. If this happens to go out of bounds, it's going to be out of bounds way short of where you'd like to land. But if it comes back safe, great chance for birdie. It's a beautiful shape for Keith. He hits a late tree, but that's going to be right around circle two's edge. Not a bad miss if you're going to take the forehand route. This is going to be titanium buzz from McBeth. Straight up the gut.
And Paul, I was going to say, it looked like Paul McBeth liked it. He certainly did. Although our signal doesn't appear to really like it at the moment. This is one of the few spots on the course where we occasionally get challenged. The other day it was relatively clear for us. Today it looks like it's given us a little sputter. But Paul McBeth inside the circle looking at a birdie here on hole 3.
Beautiful line for Clemons. Straight down the middle. He's going to have a look from probably right around circle one's edge for his birdie. 2 fantastic straight shots out of the gate for Clemons and McBeth. This is going to be rock 3 for Barela, who needs to stabilize a bit after a tough start. That's the most punishing kick you can get. Oh, super unfortunate for Barela. That had great potential to get up to the green.
We'll be back in a moment.
The Dynamic Discs Golden Retriever is a fantastic tool for getting your discs back when they've strayed a little too far from dry ground. With a compact design, it fits easily in your bag so it's always there when you need it. Using a Golden Retriever can speed up pace of play and save you from having to jump in yourself. We have a 100% guarantee you'll be satisfied. If you're not, return it in a usable condition for a full refund. For a little extra confidence next time you're throwing over water, make sure you're covered with a Golden Retriever.
And of course, thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters, not only of the SmashBoxxTV live broadcast, but also of the PDGA World Championships here this week. We would not be here without you. Anthony from outside circle too. He's got at least 80 feet to the pin, and he's trying to make up that stroke after going out of bounds, and a very aggressive play there. He's still going to be just inside the circle's edge there. His confidence has to be shaken just a little bit after this very rough start. Let's hope that he can at least convert on that to walk away with the bogey 4.
Yeah, AB's been pretty automatic from that range in the times that I've seen him, so I expect him to knock that down. This is Keith to likely maintain his one-shot lead over McBeth, putting with the Keystone. And that's left out of the gate. settling about 15, 18 feet by the basket.
And quick clarification, that is a keystone, not a Keithstone?
Keithstone. Although there is a special stamp that Latitude 64 made for Emerson called Keithstone.
Sounds like our marketing minds are on the same track.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know if that's good for me or bad for them. Here's Chris Clemons. Count it.
Little fist pump from Clemons. He's so good from that range just outside the circle. Clemons off to a good start, 2 under through 3. Barela's putter is in the middle. He's going to settle for the bogey 4, and that's a bogey, bogey, bogey start for Barela. Emerson in for his 3. He's going to be 1 under over those first 3 holes. An absolute drop in for McBeth. He'll move to 200 on the day and tied for the lead.
Looks like we're going to get a little insight from out on the course with Dixon Jowers.
All right, so like I mentioned earlier, there's a couple other things going on outside of this. If you didn't know, based off the interview that we saw on Smashbox the other day, Emerson's wife, Mackenzie, is pregnant, due with their firstborn on August the 27th. So here in just, 12 days or so? So he's kind of got that on his mind. But in speaking with Paul, he said that that's such a great thing that it's probably actually helping Emerson relax a little bit. That he's not thinking as much about, I'm in first place at Worlds going against 4-time world champion Paul McBeth, that there's actually big things going on outside of this, and that's helping keeping him calm. Also, Emerson said he's staying at a house with some good friends, Zachariah Johnson and Kyle Webster, and those guys are helping keeping him grounded so that he can focus on what's going on here, but not get too worked up about it. Let's see if he continues that great play.
Thank you, Dixon. And let's take a look at hole number 4 here, Robert.
4 coming in on the more difficult side of holes, 3.25 scoring average, not that many birdies and a whole lot of pars. 423 feet, but it doesn't play like that because it's such a drastic downhill. Players can play a slight turnover on the left side or a nice smooth hyzer on the right. There is OB right and then kind of a natural bunker on the woods line on the left side. This will be Luna for McBeth. And this is a slight turnover, holding beautifully. Oh no, and McBeth has hit the last tree between himself and the basket and kicked right out of bounds. What an unfortunate break for McBeth. That had all the speed it needed to get there and was going to settle softly. Wow, unlucky break for McBeth. Clemons is taking the forehand felon down the right side. This is really more of a play for a safe 3 and a possible 2. As he skipped into the woods, he can be aggressive at that basket if he'd like, but there's OB directly behind, and the basket is on a mound, which kind of entices the players to go at that putt, but if they do miss, very easy to find out of bounds. This looks to be gatekeeper for Emerson Keith. Good speed and good angle on this disc for Keith. A little bit of skip into the woods, but he's inside circle 1, putting for the birdie.
And here on hole 4, I think it's a little more advantageous to be slightly past the basket as opposed to being short of the basket. Maybe a little more confidence in putting uphill in this case.
Rock 3 for Barela early on left. Looks like that's kicked out right, but not the spot he's looking for.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? tired of that sound.
Poison ivy's itchy rash ruins the best day outdoors. Zanfel gives immediate relief, washes away the toxin, stops the horrific itch. Safe for kids and pets. No downtime. Got poison ivy? Get Zanfel. It works.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here on hole number 4, and just a moment ago while we were at commercial break, Anthony Barela just pitched back out. He really had nothing, and he very quickly made up his mind to just throw into the fairway. And now here we are seeing him throw his third shot. Let's see if he can start to turn things around. He's got a little work to do here, and that is a great approach right next to the basket, 3 feet from it. And unfortunately, though, that means he's going to be walking away with another bogey here to start out his round.
Based on that tee shot, bogey is about the best possible scenario for Barela there. That shot is so much downhill. Everything runs toward OB, and so that's perfect touch. Just an incredibly well-executed shot for Barela to get into that spot.
And as we're waiting for Paul to mark his lie after going OB, of course, of note on UDisc Live, we see Kevin Jones has taken now his first par of the round. He started out 5 for 5 with birdies. Hole 6, he takes a par 4, and he has pushed himself to 19 under par and currently just 4 strokes off the lead and sitting in 3rd place.
McBeth looks like he's lining this putt up. It's not surprising that he'd run it, but this is a dangerous putt.
I'm going to call that he makes it.
Come on.
And our Sandy Point Resort replay shows us Paul McBeth saving par. Wow, just incredible.
Almost having to throw that putt like a big hyzer because of the tree in between his lie and the basket. Well, McBeth refusing to give up an easy stroke to Keith.
Wow. Just the degree of focus and determination as McBeth cans the putt after going out of bounds.
If he misses that, that's probably rolling into the woods. Not an easy 4. Clemons putting straight at the OB.
That needs to sit down.
That should be fine for Clemons. Putting back up toward the basket, 25 feet or so. A missed opportunity, but an extremely daunting putt looking straight at the out-of-bounds path.
As we see our chat board lighting up, thank you guys so much for being part of the disc golf community and playing along in the chat board. If you're watching on YouTube, we usually see most of the comments. We try and interact with you guys as we're seeing Emerson Keith now line up his birdie putt. What I'd love to hear with the 6,600 plus people is, where are you watching from? Put that in the chat so we can see you from around the world.
Keith refuses to be big putted by McBeth. Puts in for his birdie, 2 under on the day, and that's going to move him back into the solo lead by 1 over McBeth.
And Chris's uphill putt just seemed to get a little bit away from him. He wanted to make sure he had the height, but looks like it was a little high into the chains. And unfortunately, the 3 putt here by Clemons is going to lead to the bogey.
That'll be a pair of bogeys from Clemons and Barela. Par for McBeth after the incredible putt. Birdie for Keith.
We're going to move over to the famous baseball hole. What do we see here, Robert?
476 feet, always plays as the most difficult hole relative to par. 3.64 scoring average. Players who have the arm for it are going to go out over this fence and try and challenge the basket on the left side. There's also a layup play out to the right, but tight OB long of the fairway and also inside the baseball field. Any OB goes to the drop zone, which is probably about a 370-foot approach to this basket. Only 8% of the MPO field carding the birdie two so far today. That's only 10 players. More than half the field carding the par 3.
The last few years that we've been out here for this particular hole, we've seen it undergo a few different iterations and styles and ways that people have approached it. We do typically see it in some form of an elevated capacity. I know when we were here for the Disc Golf Pro Tour just a few weeks ago, they also had the basket elevated as they do here for the World Championship. So kind of sticking with that theme. Now this hole, we have seen a little bit of controversy, and we've also seen this really kind of break someone's round and maybe even break them down just a little bit mentally. You really need to find the inbounds territory, because if you do move to that drop zone, things aren't getting any easier.
That's exactly right. 4 at best from there. We've seen a lot of 6s today, and I mean some great players taking those 6s. Top of the list, Cameron Colglazier, Seppo Payu, Zach Melton carding 6s on this hole today. So yeah, exactly like you said, this can be a round breaker if you allow it to be. But then 10 players with those birdie 2s and some of the longer throwers in the game, as well as one really impressive lefty getting this hole. Shout out Brian Earhart, circle 2 off the drive and carding the birdie 2. Keith has no intention to lay up whatsoever. This is an aggressive hyzer play out over the fence. He has plenty of distance to reach this basket. This is flattened out nicely for Keith. Wow. He just continues to throw the shots that you have to throw. I mean, this is the most, this probably and 6 are the most dangerous OB holes on the course. And he just throws about a 460-foot hyzer with ease. By the way, Emerson probably isn't much taller than 5'5" or 5'6". He is one of the longest pound-for-pound throwers in the game, if not the longest.
Looks like more than enough power. He's cleared the fence.
Oh, wow.
And Paul McBeth just deep of the basket on the right side in great position with no danger from any angle for that putt.
Once again, less than driver for McBeth as he goes with the Onyx. Speed 10. Most people are pulling out their fastest driver to throw this sort of distance. Chris Clemons going with the overstable forehand. That's a good safe play for the lefty. If he wants to get close to the basket, he really would have to throw a big hyzer that only crosses for maybe the last 5 to 10 feet. Good safe play for Clemons. And Barela, with no shortage of power, can certainly reach this basket.
Oh, that looks low, and he knows it.
He needs that to carry.
Oh my gosh. Anthony Barela struggling here today. That is out of bounds. We may have to change him from AB to OB.
I don't like that one bit.
I don't either, but I got to call the shots as I see them.
For the dreamers, the planners, thrill seekers, and chill seekers. For the adventurous, the curious, the creative, and the passionate. For the young and the young at heart. For her, for him, for everyone.
Good angle for Barela from the drop zone. That'll skip up to around the edge of circle 1.
Take a brief look at the scoreboard here as Emerson Keith and Paul McBeth have matched each other score-wise today. Kevin Jones at the moment is making the run as we see him through 7 holes, and he is 5 under. He's taken pars on both 6 and 7. Chris Dickerson also with a really solid round going today as he is 5 under, also pushing to that 17 under. We'll have to see. Clearly no real surprise if one of those two were to start to make a run as well to find themselves on the lead card. But in the early goings here, we're not seeing Emerson or Paul falter really at all. They've both made some incredible shots, and they seem like they're out here and ready to go stroke for stroke against one another.
Not a bad approach for Clemons there. That'll settle within 20 feet. I mean, it's worth noting as we were looking at the scoreboard a second ago, right now, Eagle McMahon's 14 under has moved him up 34 spots into a tie for 5th place. I believe Eagle was on the 10th card today. 10th card. Now he's tied for 5th place.
We'll keep an eye on him and the rest of the hot scores that are out there. The conditions seem relatively calm, and also certainly the coolest day temperature-wise that we've had out here in the last 10 to 14 days.
That's right. A little less wind than earlier this morning as well. Circle 2 putt for Keith. Oh my goodness. The young man does not let up.
Another Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch replay. Emerson Keith with the rocking step putt, cans it. He's got to be feeling good right now.
What a story for Keith so far, you know, awaiting the birth of his daughter, hoping that it comes after the World Championships. And like Dixon said, maybe it's good that that's pulling some of his focus because he's just throwing the disc in the basket. McBeth matches Keith's pace. These guys are absolutely off to the races right now. Barela with the air ball for his 4. You can just see the disappointment on Barela's face and in his body language. He's the sort of player who's used to converting on those putts, collecting a lot of birdies, throwing a lot of highlight reel shots, and just struggling out of the gate today.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate to see by the young touring player. And that splashes out and unfortunately continues here for Anthony Barela.
Barela is going to join the top players who I mentioned earlier who carded 6s on this hole. This would be Clemons for his par.
I know Anthony's parents are here. Hopefully maybe they have a few words of encouragement for him out on the course. See if he can turn this around. Some struggles here on the early goings, but he's going to have a long walk over to hole 6, and let's hope that he can pull it together, and we're going to see some great shots from him as we continue the round. Here's Dixon Jowers.
All right, so we're through 5 here. Our players are going to take the long walk over to hole 6's tee pad, and the noise out here is kind of weird. If you think back to last hole, right? Paul hit that about 45-footer from circle 2 to save par. The crowd erupted. Now, it was a fantastic putt, by the way. Emerson hits 25-footer or so for the birdie to take the stroke back from Paul that he had just lost the hole before, and it was kind of muted well done, Emerson sort of applause. You can tell that the crowd, while not cheering against people, is definitely cheering for Paul. Now, the other noise that we're hearing is when Anthony is throwing, and after he throws, it's absolutely quiet. It's one of the worst feelings you can have as a golfer when there's nothing going on. You would almost rather be razzed by your friends than just dead quiet. But that's what Anthony is right now hearing after a lot of his shots. Let's see if he can shake that off and get going back here on hole 6.
Hole number 6. What's the plan here, Robert?
Yeah, the second most difficult hole on the course. Just to follow up the most difficult, this is 897 feet. Players are trying to land their drive around where the drone is right now if they're playing for the nice 4, around where it is now if they're playing for the 3. This is 2 nearly 450-foot shots to attack this green, which is closely guarded by woods line on the left and OB fence and string on the right side. From the basket to the OB behind it and to the left is probably only 22, 25 feet, somewhere in there. And so carding the birdie 3 is at an extreme premium today. So far, only 4 players carding the birdie 3. James Conrad, Garrett Gerthy, Ricky Wysocki, and Dustin Keegan, all of whom were inside circle 1 in regulation after 2 huge shots. This is I don't want to say a relatively easy 4, but if you play for 4, it's 3 routine shots and a putt. I have a feeling, I'm not really a betting man, but let's just assume that I was. I think Emerson and Paul are both playing for the birdie here because that's all they've done all weekend, and it's worked out for them almost every time.
Yeah, I think they both are so incredibly dialed. They're so focused right now. They know that, one is not looking to pull away from, they're looking to pull away from each other, but they're not letting them do it. As soon as someone, tries to take off, the other one says, oh, get back here. I'm going to make a big putt, or I'm going to do something that's going to match that. I think you're going to see them both play very aggressive, as you said. And I think we're going to see the birdie count. So far, as you mentioned, there's been 4 birdies here today. I think by the end of this hole, we're going to have at least 6 birdies overall, maybe even 7. I'd love to see Anthony Barela turn around. He's got more than enough power, probably more power than anyone else in this group.
That's right.
So Anthony Barela maybe will, maybe he'll put a little extra into it to release some of the frustration or some of the nerves or whatever it might be that he's got kind of pent up in him. And I just want to take a quick moment to make it very clear. I am a huge Anthony Barela fan. I've known him since he was way shorter than me. I was there when he took his first ever cash as a professional. I had the pleasure of recording that in Arizona. So just in case there's any rumors or anything out there, just playing along a little bit. Unfortunately, Anthony is off to the rough start, but I want everyone to know that I do truly enjoy Anthony, and his parents are 2 of the nicest people we've ever met in disc golf. So just so everyone is aware out there. But we have to have a little bit of fun and originality here in our booth as well at the same time, Robert.
That's exactly right. And as we're talking about Barela and his rounds so far, struggling with the out of bounds, OB is basically a death knell to par here on this on hole 6. Only 4 players so far today have gone out of bounds and still been able to save the par 4. Those players being Andrew Marweed, Adam Hammis, Calvin Heimberg, and Kevin Jones. I mean, talk about 4 of your longest throwers in the game. Kevin Jones going OB on his drive. I believe the others went OB on their second shot into the green. Otherwise, if you go OB, you can write down a 5 or worse pretty quickly.
Yeah, and this hole also, as we think back over the previous years of the Ledgestone Insurance Open, this has undergone a few different looks in terms of having mandatories and having obstacles on the course. And it looks like we were actually ready to throw here as we're cutting back to the action. That was Emerson throwing his tee shot. And as Paul's getting ready to throw, you can also take a look at the Discraft feather banner there. It doesn't look to be swaying whatsoever.
Not much to it as far as wind goes. This is going to be force off the tee for McBeth. Yeah, and he's thrown a beautiful tee shot, headed toward the OB and swing. Emerson's tee shot is a little bit farther left, and so he'll have a longer second shot into the green if he chooses to attack it. Clemons playing the smooth hyzer and doing the Michael Joe turnaround. No need to watch that. It's in the fairway.
I got this. Looking for a big drive here by Anthony Barela.
Yeah, Barela lets loose on this drive. This has good stability, and he's in a great spot to attack this green. If he were to find a way to throw this in for birdie, or to throw a great second and get in for birdie, this would be quite an incredible first birdie of the round to card.
As they move down the fairway, we're going to hear a word from these supporting partners.
If you guys like the H3 V2, but maybe you're looking for just a little bit more flip up and glide, the H4 V2 is going to be your disc. I'm absolutely loving it, and it filled a spot in my bag immediately.
Back on hole 6's fairway with Chris Clemons. Yeah, I was going to say this would certainly be a layup play if I've ever seen one. Clemons wants to cover a lot of distance, but he's at a really difficult angle to attack this green if he decided to. Yeah, this should be pure hyzer from Clemons, just looking to land on the short grass. And that's picture perfect. Should be a little pitch up for his look at par 4 there. Emerson is certainly taking a bit of extra time. You have to believe he's going for this. This looks like the same driver that he threw over the fence on hole 5. I believe that's Defender. Keith probably has, I don't know, 460 feet left to the basket. Might be even a little more than that, to be honest.
Set his bag out of the way so he can provide a little bit more run up.
Big time pull for Keith, needing that to get flat. That's headed left a little earlier than he'd like.
And that's going to fight that OB line on the left side. And after hitting the upper rope, it looks like it trickles into the out of bounds area. Now he's going to gain all of that distance, of course, and he'll be able to bring it in just 1 meter from there. But
I mean, he's at circle 2 to save his par.
Yeah, he will have that opportunity. I believe we saw that at the Ledgestone, actually, earlier in the year. We saw a few OB shots, and then ultimately Paul McBeth and Ricky Wysocki made from almost that exact same spot.
That's right.
On that left side.
McBeth lining up the aggressive play to the green as well. Once again, maybe a little too much hyzer on that disc.
Oh, and
that's going to trickle in just a few feet in front of Keith's disc.
Wow, nearly the exact same mistake made by Emerson, Keith, and Paul McBeth, like you mentioned, a little bit closer. So he'll also have the opportunity to save the par with that. And McBeth, you can see a little bit frustrated in the background.
To be fair, that is the mistake to make. Like you said, you're going to cover all of that distance, still putting for par instead of pushing too far to the right.
We'll see if Anthony can hang it out a little bit wider right. His body English is showing us he doesn't care for it, but and that is not coming back inbounds. And the worst part about that mistake is, we were just talking about it, he's going to be able to move up the fairway, but just barely.
Yeah, 30 feet, 40 maybe.
Yeah, the other players are able to take it. You know, they gained all of that distance, and then they'll have their putts to save. But Anthony here, he went out of bounds early, and it never came back in bounds. And unfortunately, the struggle continues for Anthony. Just when I thought this was going to be the hole that he would turn things around, now he needs to make sure that he at least gets this back in bounds. Otherwise, you could get to a tin cup situation where you're just constantly throwing and not moving up the fairway.
Barela displeased with that effort.
There it is.
That's going to be just fine. I mean, he's putting for 5, though, from circle 2. Like we said, just a disappointing start for Barela, someone who has all the talent in the world, just struggling a bit, finding the OB on 5 of our first 6 holes so far today.
Yeah, and Anthony, I think back to a few weeks ago, I know we referenced the Ledgestone over the last few years, which has been where these players have the opportunity to play this temporary course. I remember seeing Anthony, and he was really frustrated after the first round. He was equally as frustrated after the second round. And then he made a huge push during that third round.
7 or 8 under or something.
Yeah, it was just an incredible round. And it was a matter of him getting dialed in and being a little bit more focused. Things went right for him. I think he had a little bit of bad luck back at that time. He was talking to me about it. And today, things are not going his way. And we're really hoping that he can get something on track. Unfortunately, I don't really think the course gets easier per se.
It doesn't.
As the rest of the course is laden with OB and even more water shots to come as Chris Clemons just
a little bit of extra English.
Yeah.
Tosses it up within 8 feet. Yeah, if you haven't watched Anthony play before, he's an all or nothing player. He's going to make the most aggressive play pretty much every time that he can. A lot of times that works out for him, and that's how you see him shoot just incredibly scorching rounds. He has one of probably the highest ceilings of any player on tour. But when those shots work out poorly, those rounds can go south quickly, as we're seeing for him so far today. You can see Emerson Keith's disc no more than a foot or 2 out of bounds there. He's going to take his meter in, and this is a long putt for his par 4. A little bit of obstruction on the left side of this putt, as well as OB looming behind the basket if he tries to spin it too hard or maybe catches the wrong angle.
All right. So here is Paul McBeth, actually from Ledgestone, as we were referencing earlier. Somehow Johnny V pulls it from the archives. We're going to see Paul McBeth in a moment. Here's Anthony Barela. So McBeth must be just inside that distance. Oh, no. And he doesn't connect with any metal, so he goes past the basket and finds the out of bounds on the back side. Oh, my goodness.
McBeth is a little bit closer than we had thought from before, probably just outside circle 1. This is going to be 35, 38 feet.
So just like 2 holes ago, he is putting for par after going out of bounds. This is to potentially tie him for the lead.
Dead center for McBeth. He becomes only the 5th player today to go out of bounds and still save his par with that fantastic putt.
A Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch replay. A little bit of a confidence booster for Paul McBeth. He will remain at 24 under par, but once Emerson Keith puts in for the bogey, they will again be knotted up in a tie for first place here at the World Championships.
And that's going to be Barela for his 7. Extremely tough start for him as he's going to be 10 over so far through 6 holes. Keith drops in for his bogey, and we are knotted up at the top. Just behind our top competitors, Kevin Jones, 4 under on the day, tied with James Conrad.
This is the second shortest hole on the course, and a must-get birdie if we've ever seen one. What are they trying to do here, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, straight down the middle. You can throw a forehand out to the left that swings back to the right, or a bit of a flip-up putter or mid-range. 56% of the open field carding the birdie 2 here. As long as you get up to the trees that are kind of in the middle of your screen right now, that's a great spot. You're going to be inside the circle. You're going to be on those right side trees is about 20 feet. On the left tree, about 25 feet. Certainly a convertible birdie for our top competitors. Like I said, 56% carding the birdie 2, 36% taking the par 3, and only 8% bogey or worse on hole 3. This is the last hole that feels like, all right, I have to get this for a little bit. Once we get over to hole 11, that feels that way. But in between there is extremely difficult par 4, hole 8, and the bridge hole, hole 9.
I just can't say enough after watching this course evolve throughout the years to now have the cement tee pads out here for what is a temporary course. They actually have permanent style tee pads and such dedication by Lake Eureka to the sport of disc golf. So thank you for hosting us.
So Luna for McBeth turned right and carrying far right, gets a fantastic kick back to the fairway. And he settles right around circle's edge left. I think that might be to make up for the awful kick that he got on hole 4 earlier. The course giveth and the course taketh away. Clemons with a smooth hyzer. Perfect. 12 feet. I think he throws harp on that shot. So just nice and overstable, just committing to it on the left side. Keith is going to take the forehand out on the left side and swing it back to the right. Wouldn't be surprised if this were one of his signature series explorers. A little bit low, but scooting up there, probably a little bit outside circle 1.
And something to take note of for now and throughout the rest of the course. We haven't really seen a single skip at any point, or significant one. Maybe those high-speed drivers on the previous OB shots, but we're not seeing too much of a skip out there with the grass. And here's Anthony Barela. Let's see if he can get dialed in. And he kicks off the tree, and unfortunately it rolls him back just a little bit. A very makeable putt for him. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Robert McCall. And Robert, as you've been taking on a number of roles here this week, you are ultimately the Dynamic Disc team manager and keeping track of all the players, all the great performances that are going on out there. Very exciting week for you and for the entire company.
Yeah, I mean, we look forward to Worlds every year, not just for our players, but for disc golf. We want to see new world champions or repeat champions. But so far this week, lots of great action, lots of moving and shaking up at the top of each division.
Here's Paul McBeth looking for another birdie.
That seemed like it was in from the second he stepped up to it. McBeth just has supreme confidence over his putt right now. Starts it just right of the basket, and that couldn't have hit really much better.
All right. We're excited to see Anthony Barela. He's going to card his first birdie of the round right here. And he does so. Awesome. Great to see. And you can hear the crowd out there, which is awesome. You know, everyone out there is pulling for him. You know, you and I are both pulling for him. We'd love to see him turn this round around. Clearly a very rough start, but we all know that he's got it in him to still turn this around.
That's right. And good on Barela to still acknowledge the crowd, give them a nice wave instead of just a depressed kind of, very easy to do when you're having a tough day. Good on you, Anthony. That's well done.
Correct. I was thinking the exact same thing. See an outstretched Emerson. Right on the center of the pole.
It just looks like he's just tossing it.
He's got no problems here. Emerson Keith with the Sandy Point Resort replay. And Chris Clemons will complete the star frame. Nicely done here on hole 7. They're going to have a brief walk. We're going to move over to the tee of 8. And not an easy hole whatsoever here, Robert.
No, 793 feet. The players must pierce through the gap that you see in the middle of your screen right now. Once they're out in the open, the shots don't get any easier. If a good distance drive is thrown, you probably have around 300 or 350 feet into this basket that has OB to the left, OB and brush to the right. Just lots of danger everywhere. Difficulties change throughout the day. They're fluid as more players play throughout the course. So this is currently our 5th most difficult hole on the course, averaging 4.23 throughout the day. Only 20 players carding the birdie 3 so far today here on hole 8. It's worth noting that the initial gap that our players have to get through is probably a 40 feet wide, somewhere in there. But when you're throwing the shot, it's just far enough away and you're throwing hard enough, it feels a lot more difficult than it should be. If all of the woods are removed and our players were just throwing whatever shot they wanted to, a lot of them would go straight down this gap with no concern. But because there are trees on each side and the players do have to cross to get in bounds, it becomes a little bit more mentally daunting. Any shot that doesn't cross the water is playing from the drop zone on our side of the water. It's basically a guaranteed 5 at best. Smooth for McBeth.
Yeah, really no problems hitting the gap. I feel like that gap has slightly widened you know, I don't know how much it's widened even per se from 6 weeks ago, but it feels like it's just a little bit wider than what we've seen in the past.
That's right. Easy force hyzer there for McBeth. Clemons with a clean defender shot well through the gap. Since that has faded out to the right, he's going to have a longer shot in than McBeth is going to, but he'll probably have a better angle for his eye out on the right side.
What would you say Chris Clemons' average golf distance is if he's able to let one loose out on the course? What would you say that average distance is?
On true golf lines, backhand, he's probably in the 460 to 470 range. On forehands, probably in the 430 to 440 range. If he goes all out, he's well over a 500-foot thrower.
And funny to think he is probably the shortest arm in this group. That's incredible.
This looks to be Ballista Pro for Keith. He's gotten it up to flat and riding right, and that is crunched for Keith. Way out there. He'll probably be able to throw mid-range into the screen, great to have a slower spinning disc that can sit a little bit better. Now, it's worth noting that our players could take a huge hyzer out around these trees or over them, but most players go for the down the middle shot, and Barela has leaned on this. That's a bit of pent-up aggression, and that's probably around 470 feet on a rope.
They've got a lengthy walk, so we're going to stand down to a word from our sponsors.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway. By accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
Oh no. Alright.
Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller along with Robert McCall. And Robert, of course, they have a very daunting, very challenging green to approach to here on hole number 8. And then just looming behind them, literally, is the bridge hole, which we know has also taken a few people to town throughout the years and really created some challenges. But of course, they're focused on hole 8. Now, here's a spot where I think someone like Chris Clemons really has to decide, you know, did I get far enough? Am I even thinking about going for this green? Or do I just want to lay up maybe to the edge where there's plenty of inbounds area and then just simply lay up and walk away with a 4? I think a 4 is a great score here, and we'll see if we'll see how aggressive any of our competitors are going to be. And Nate Heinold, our tournament director, is trying to make sure there's more than enough room for the landing areas. Chris is going to be throwing his second shot.
Yeah, I think he's got getaway in his hand here, so I would not be surprised to see him challenge the green. He's turned it. He's waiting for that to get back right. That's a great shot for Clemons. He's going to be up there safe on the right side, but he's putting back at the basket, and directly behind the basket is maybe 8 feet of safe grass and then instantly water behind. That is certainly a death putt for Clemons.
Gorgeous day out here at Lake Eureka. And we're so glad that you guys are also here and tuned in, enjoying the action. I believe we're pushing nearly 8,000 viewers. We'd love to see it get to 9,000 or even 10,000 viewers here today, as we have more than half the round to play. Tomorrow morning, we will be back at Sunset Hills. Myself and Hannah McBeth will be calling the shots for the FPO 4th round action. And then, of course, on Saturday, our championship Saturday, we'll have 5th round FPO action in the morning, where we will crown our champion on the FPO side and then also crown our champion at Lake Eureka later in the afternoon.
This looks like Luna once again for McBeth, so just playing for the nice soft landing. It might be Buzz as well, it's hard to tell. This is a beautiful flight from McBeth. Just needs to settle softly. He's gone a little bit long, so he's not that far from the basket. He might have that tree to contend with, but he should be pretty good. I think he's short enough that he's got about 20 or 25 feet for his birdie.
And to be long of the basket after such an accurate straight throw is incredible. We'll see if Emerson can match that shot. You have to think, does someone like Emerson care at all about what his competitor or his closest competitor in McBeth is doing. Would he change up his game plan? Was he thinking originally, well, I'm really just happy with a 4 here, or is he sticking to his game plan no matter what Paul McBeth is doing?
I think he's going for it no matter what. One of the things that he said in the Jomez video was, the trees are the same to everybody. The holes are the same difficulty for everybody. They have to earn their score just like I do. And so I think Emerson's going to play that aggressively every single time. He pulled that right. It's hard to tell if that's inbounds or out, but he is certainly disappointed with the effort.
One of the few mistakes we've actually seen here by Emerson.
That's right. Barela taking forehand into the green.
Skip in there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there it is. Anthony Barela seems to be maybe getting a little bit of that mojo back. I'm not sure they still use that term, but actually I think that may even be trademarked within the sport of disc golf. But great shot by Anthony Barela. He's going to have a drop-in birdie, and that looks like it's going to be back-to-back birdies on 7 and 8 for him. So we'll take a quick look at the leaderboard as Kevin Jones sits at 6 under through 11 holes. He's having a great round, as is James Conrad. Chris Dickerson, even a little bit better. He is 7 under through 13. And two of our longer throwers in the game, Simon Lizotte, Eric Oakley, both 9 under for the round through 16 holes. We're going to see them as they move over to the somewhat scary hole 17 and wrap up on 18 here, probably in the next 10 to 15 minutes. But some really good scores. People are out there really attacking this course today.
That's right. I feel like this is the course where you can do more of your moving. There are not a lot of 10s and 11s out there at Northwoods, but those can be found out here. So Keith, after the OB second shot, is going to survey the land near the basket. He is inside circle 2, putting back toward the basket, but he employs more of a hyzer putt, and if that putt comes down on hyzer, that is tracking toward the water if he happens to miss. Pivotal moment for Keith here.
Oh, no. And that is exactly what you just said, Robert, as he does not connect with any metal. It goes up and over the basket. We're going to take another look at it. Unfortunately, not on the highlight reel, but we will take a look. And just barely misses.
So that's 6 at best for Keith, with McBeth putting for 3 from just behind the tree. Oh, Clemons found the same fate as Keith, just off the top of the basket.
You see the ripples in the water there, and it looked like it almost thought about staying on the side of the hill, and then we see the ripples as it falls into the water. Paul McBeth going to give him a spot. They'll confirm, probably for both players.
No, sorry, I would give him a meter from the edge of the water. The rule is just water is open. So if he can take a stance right here.
I don't know if it's possible. Mine is off too? Yeah. I'm here, dude. Yeah. You want to go down there and look how close it is? Yeah. It looks so big for me. Because your disc is like, I'd say it's inch out. Yeah. See where the meter puts it.
All right, so we're hearing a little bit of the conversation there.
Yeah, so you're almost have to put it from down there. But you would get
I mean,
still...
we could go this way, right?
Yeah, it's like here.
Yeah. We could go right here, right? I mean, we have pretty much the same spot.
I mean, a meter is more than 3 feet.
Right. So a meter would be like right there?
I mean, if you start out this way, you're good.
Are you determining if his?
What about this way? This is what I'm asking right here. Am I good right here?
No.
Yeah. It's
No?
inbounds, right?
It's the inbound?
That
No,
one?
his is out. So this one's floating.
Sorry.
I mean, Chris, I don't know. I mean, this is water.
I see. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I think if you went that way, it's easier.
I think that's closer to the basket there than.
I think you're. Oh yeah.
I mean, look at the pole from where I am. That's the one. So if I'm here, I think that's good.
Sure.
Just to me.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Bless you.
And you guys went same spot.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Let me get back in that thing.
Wow. I can feel my heart beating just a little bit harder as we're watching and listening to the conversation taking place there. And ultimately, I believe both of them have been deemed out of bounds. And Emerson trying to double check where he puts his feet as to if he's going to be inbounds. He's clarifying with the group. He has to maintain his balance and make sure he doesn't fall forward here. And really, no doubt.
Yeah, that's well done for Keith. Unfortunately, that's going to be for double bogey 6. He stands to lose possibly 3 strokes to McBeth here. He's still 3 shots clear of the tie for third place that includes Kevin Jones, James Conrad, and Simon Lazat. Clemons is in for bogey.
I apologize if I did mishear or understand that. Well, we will get a clarification whether or not that was deemed out of bounds.
McBeth forced to straddle out to the left a bit. This is to pick up 3 strokes on Emerson Keith. Yeah, I would have bet my house on that. With a competitor in for 6 there, McBeth is going to take his time and convert for that birdie 3. So birdies for Barela and McBeth, single bogey for Clemons, and an unfortunate double for Emerson Keith. I'm interested to see how he bounces back because this is really the first sort of big number that he's taken all weekend so far.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're going to move over here to the bridge hole, hole number 9, 354 feet. Aced earlier in the week. What's the play here?
Yeah, just have
ace
to.
it.
Yeah, if you throw it in on the first one, that is advisable. You just have to land safely in the island to move to the island. Shots that come to rest outside the island move to the drop zone that's at the end of the bridge. That's about a 250, 260-foot shot into the basket. This is coming in as our 8th most difficult hole because of the bogey potential, but almost half of the MPO field so far today have carded the birdie 2. One of only a few holes playing under par so far on the week.
Well, plenty of challenge out here as we are on hole number 9, the bridge hole, like you just said. We've seen some really large numbers in a little bit different format, but we've seen some really big numbers out here. We have to watch, as you just mentioned, Emerson Keith bouncing back and how he'll respond to that. He went into that previous hole all knotted up with McBeth. He comes out of it 3 strokes down. That is the largest swing that we've seen between the two of them on a single hole out here this week. And clearly, Emerson is a very solid, very consistent player. But that may creep in just a little bit as to how he feels as a result of it.
That's right. This is the time where he has an opportunity to show his resolve. He's taken, I think, only 2, maybe 3 bogeys on the weekend up until this point.
Yeah.
Not many at all. He took a bogey on hole 6, just barely missed that putt, turns around on hole 7, gets birdie. So he takes double here on hole 8. If the math checks out, he's going to ace this hole to level those out.
Yeah. I would just count on that.
We'll
speaking
see.
of betting your house,
Yeah, that's the one to do it on?
Yes.
What kind of odds do we have on that?
I don't know. I think you should win a house if you've just called an Emerson Keith.
I think I should win 3 houses.
All right. Looks like we have Chris Clemons is double checking maybe the tee pad or at least his footing.
Yeah, Clemons, after taking the bogey, will not have honors on the tee. That will go to McBeth, who has 5 under through 8 bogey-free on the day so far. This is going to be buzz from McBeth, so you can expect a beeline straight at the basket.
I feel like there was even a play on disc name there. Nicely done,
That
Robert.
wasn't even on purpose. That's the worst part.
That's how good you are. And McBeth with a good-looking shot. Does it get all the way there? It does. Does flirt a little bit with that OB line, but he will be inside the circle looking for another birdie here on hole number 9. I'd love to see a Anthony Barela ace.
Tracking left for Barela, and he's asking for this to get down. Not because he's afraid of missing the island, but more just being too far left of the basket. Clemons is going to go forehand out on the right side, tracking that back to the left. It'll be right around circle one's edge. He has so much trust in his forehand. It's just that's a fun shot to watch. Not 100% sure on this one, but I believe this would be Compass or something like it from Emerson Keith. This is pulled to right. He needs that to have some left finish.
Think it will, and it. Oh no! The
I believe
crowd's
that has
reaction.
hit the stake and landed.
Oh
my goodness! That can't be more than 4 inches out of bounds.
If even that.
Oh my goodness! What a bad break for Keith. Granted, that had too much speed, but it looked like the stake was going to save him. Wow.
And from there, he goes to the drop zone.
That's right.
And that feels very punishing in this case, only because he is so close to the basket. Unbelievable. The drop zone, I believe, is located just at the edge of the bridge. I'm not sure if Emerson officially called for a provisional or if he's just trusting in fact that it's out of bounds. He was given the out of bounds indicator.
Forehand approach with his justice once again.
And he will walk away with a bogey 4. So Emerson Keith, the double bogey on hole 8, the bogey on hole 9. And if Paul McBeth converts, it'll be another 2 strokes. And that will be a total of 5 strokes in 2 holes. This is just unbelievable.
Yeah, these are the sort of holes that I was about to say these are the sort of holes that can happen on, but almost every hole at Eureka has this sort of big swing potential. The bridge holes certainly more than others with less OB or less punishing OB, but man, this can just turn you around from going pretty well to over just like that. Bogey's not going to kill Emerson Keith here. He's going to drop to even on the round. But when the person who's chasing you is 5 under on the day and probably looking to push to 6
and has a last name of McBeth,
that's not going to feel good.
That is so dangerous.
Clemons taking a quick look at Emerson Keith's disc,
trying to get the clarification. We see Jonathan in there.
Yeah, and it truly, from our perspective, looks like an inch or 2 OB.
That is very unfortunate. What's not unfortunate, Ace Run Productions coming in with a massive super chat. We do appreciate it so much, Ace Run Productions. Thank you for doing so. Here's Anthony Barela lining up for what would be his 3rd birdie in a row.
And that was way too much speed for Barela.
And Barela, aggressive, but finds the out of bounds behind the basket.
And Clemons knew out of his hand that he had missed that.
The way he turned around, now the question is, and we don't have great audio here in the booth for sure, it was hard to determine if he turned around because he knew immediately that he missed it, or if maybe he was kind of looking off some form of a distraction he might have heard. I kind of got that sense, but I could not tell. Here's McBeth to gain his 5th stroke on Emerson Keith in 2 holes.
And McBeth is like a shark in open water right now that smells blood. He is out to strike. He's collecting any and all strokes possible, taking no prisoners along the way as he moves to 6 under par through our first 9 holes, setting a scorching pace.
And Emerson, Emerson just double checking. He wants to be certain. So we're going to try and push in on that just to be certain that he's out of bounds. Emerson. Not sure if we have on-course audio.
Touching this, is the string considered inbounds or out of bounds? The string is considered out of bounds. It's got to be the inside of it. Right. Yeah, so it's not the string, it's past the string.
It would have to be like across, I mean, part of the disc has to be across the string line, so.
Like the furthest it is, I mean, it's even further away now, but.
Is it as tight as, I mean, it looks.
It looks tight, but I mean, there's like a hill and grass to like kind of make it curve.
The problem is it has to cross the line, so. I mean, it's close, but it's really close, but I mean, it's your guys' call though, so you guys should talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is you have to have it on the inside of it.
Emerson has tapped out. Okay. All right, looks like he's just going to pick up and move on. Wow. Again, my heart is kind of racing here. And perfect time. Let's hear what Dixon has to say.
All right, so we had a couple of different OB discussions on these last 2 holes. On hole 8, it was a question of coming in far enough on the mud because the water was the line, and would there be enough space at the top of the hill to take an actual stance, or if they were going to have to stand down in the mud. Right here, the question was the string was caught up on some grass a little bit, so they were trying to pull it tight to see if that would happen. It definitely made it closer to inbounds, but it didn't make it inbounds. So Emerson, after giving up 3 shots to Paul on hole 8, gives up 2 more right here. Let's see how he rebounds after his worst 2 holes of the entire tournament so far, back to back.
Let's take a quick look at hole number 10 as we move into the back half. We are exactly halfway through our World Championships right now, Robert.
So moving on to hole 10, playing as the 5th easiest hole so far today. Like we said, those difficulties change throughout the day. 2.72 scoring average, almost 2/3 of the open field carding the par 3 here. This reads 450 feet, but a lot of players will take less than driver. Even we saw Paul McBeth throw his Big Z Luna at this during Ledgestone and absolutely park it. Plays a little bit downhill with OB left and bushes on the right side. This is the hole that our players are certainly looking to card the birdie. Anything worse is going to feel pretty bad today. This is moving a bit too far right for McBeth. That just hits and kicks straight down. There isn't going to be much of an angle from there if it landed where it looks like it landed from our perspective. enforcer for Clemons. Needs a bit of ground action to get up to the basket. That'll be inside circle 2, but he's got some work left to do. AB's going to Star Destroyer, and this looks to be a huge forehand.
Funny to think that someone like Anthony Barela has to lay off of this when he's throwing a backhand shot because he has just so much power, and the forehand looks great.
Oh
yeah.
Beautiful.
Great shot by Anthony Barela. We'll see if he can get back on pace with a birdie here.
I believe this is Explorer for Keith. Straight fairway driver. Looks maybe this is a perfect line. Just needs to stay in the air a bit longer. That's inside circle 1. Good bounce back for Keith.
Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller alongside Robert McCall. Robert, I mentioned just as they're about to tee off, exactly the halfway point here for our World Championships. And think about the excitement we've seen both on MPO and FPO side of things. 2.5 rounds to play. That means we're going to be out here on Saturday. Tomorrow, these same players will head to Northwood. Plenty of golf. Clearly, Emerson, Keith falling a little bit off the pace right now, but this is far from over.
That's exactly right. And sometimes I'm glad that you guys can't always see a shot of us because we're like this or like they're just so many I guess so many ranges of emotions that we're going through so far watching this coverage, and I couldn't ask for anything more for the World Championships. Just incredible stuff from our lead card and from a lot of our competitors so far today. And McBeth certainly does not have a straight line at the basket. Looks like he's lining up an Anheuser putt.
And he still has a very solid approach to get to just within 8 feet of the pin. So that will be an easy tap in for the par. We'll see if Emerson can possibly regain one of those. 67 Vespa comes in strong with a super chat. Thank you so much for doing so. Again, that halfway point for the World Championships, and we're excited to bring you guys the coverage right here on SmashBoxxTV for the rest of the week. Get it? Yeah.
Clemons with another fist pump. I love watching Chris play disc golf. He's just he's a chill dude, and he just throws the disc in the basket.
That's all you got to do. Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch replay for that one on Chris Clemons. Robert, I'd like to personally invite you. I'll buy your round up at Sandy Point Resort and Disc Golf Ranch in northern Wisconsin, one of the greatest places in the world to play disc golf. I can speak so after being there for more than a decade. And we want to thank them for being our replay sponsor throughout the week.
Yeah, I'm interested. Keith needs this to close the gap back to 4 on the day. And as if no adverse conditions had happened before, he puts it in the center of the basket. That's going to be birdie for Keith to move him back to 1 under par on the day.
And AB with the birdie as well.
McBeth will be left all alone after fantastic string of birdies. He's going to be relegated to the lone par here on hole 10.
There's a message board somewhere calling him washed up after he goes to the bottom of the box.
That guy's not even good anymore.
He can't card the birdie. We move over to hole 11.
300 feet, easiest hole on the course. 2/3 of the open field are carding the birdie 2 here today. This is going to be forehand for a lot of our competitors and probably just a smooth lefty backhand for Chris Clemons. OB left, OB long, and OB right. The green behind the basket slopes a little bit downhill toward the OB, but everything else is pretty flat. This is the most routine hole that we're going to have all day. If you don't card the birdie here, it feels really bad. I mean, carding the birdie elsewhere and then getting a 3 here or reversing those, this is always going to feel like you've lost a stroke if you're carding the par 3.
Yeah, when you're looking at the statistics and the numbers as we just were, this is one that, we talk about must-gets. This definitely fits in that category. You got plenty of options to do so, and Clemons, it sets up very well for the lefty backhand shot. And he says, okay, I hear you guys. I got this.
Yeah, I'll make it look easy. Great shot for Clemons. I believe that was Harp for him. This will be Firebird for Barela. And this is turned early. He needs some ground action to get back in bounds here.
Oh, no.
Wow, and that is another one just a few inches out of bounds.
And he did not make it inbounds, so he'll have to go way back to where he was last inbounds. And the struggles with the OB lines continue here with Anthony Barela. Oh, no. Emerson with a forehand.
Smooth justice. Not quite as close as he'd like, but still putting in safe.
Great angle here for Paul McBeth as we're watching him tee on 11. He's also lining up the forehand. And just so effortless as he releases this.
Yeah, McBeth goes a little bit higher speed driver. He goes with force there, settles 10 feet long.
We may have a short walk. Well, we'll be back in a moment after a word from these sponsors and our supporters on the Super Chat. Interesting that we hear a stream flowing as we're looking at Lake Eureka during our Super Chat shout-outs. But thank you guys, all of the Super Chats. We appreciate each and every one of you that is joining us here for the week. Terry Miller alongside Robert McCall, and we see the group is going to take a closer look at Anthony Barela's tee shot here. Unfortunately, I don't know that there's much discussion to be had.
But the thing is, did he touch you on this hole? He could have, yeah. There's no way to know. Okay. Someone said no, it didn't. I'll tell you, at least touch the rope.
Yep. Remember, the rope itself is out of bounds. You need to come inbounds at some point to be given a spot in the inbounds area.
Looks like they're going to give Barela that spot, saying that it's extremely likely that he did, in fact, hit the rope. From our perspective, it looked as if he didn't.
Yeah, I think that is a very, very gracious call that Anthony Barela is going to benefit from.
But we also have the benefit of an angle that's right over the top of it, right over the OB line and by the basket. Keith needs this to not surrender a stroke to McBeth as he is all but parked.
Oh, no.
Wide right for Keith. That's settled safe.
But interesting for him not to draw metal. He is at least momentarily mentally shaken to not at least draw metal on that putt. That is so surprising, as I was expecting him to ring it up. And here's Anthony Barela to save his par after the OB.
And unfortunately for Barela, that call doesn't benefit him in the way that he would like. Unable to take advantage of the extra distance gained, and he's going to settle for a bogey 4.
So now Emerson has a little bit of a tester. You would think he'd make this 100 out of 100 times the way he's been playing this week, but he is definitely a little bit shaken. All right, and you couldn't tell by there, but he's got to have a few things on his mind as he's watching his lead slip away to Paul McBeth at the moment.
McBeth absolutely parked. He's going to move back to a 5-shot lead over Keith. Throwing a 6-shot better round so far today.
And we have a very lengthy walk over to the water tower hole. We're going to listen to a word from our sponsors, and we'll see you soon.
I'm Cale Aviska from Minnesota, and you're watching SmashBoxxTV, baby.
Oh, no. All right.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
Hello and welcome to round 2 coverage of the FPO division here at the 2019 PDGA Pro World Championships. Our competitors would take on Sunset Hills today, and the story all day long was Katrina Allen. She would come in chasing 6 strokes to finish competitor Evelina Salonen, but she would make that up early and often. Here she is on the tough par 4 opening hole. The green is tricky, but no worries because Katrina is here to birdie. Hole 2, again, the perfect hyzer flip. Look at the finish. Absolutely no skip. That is under the bucket. Katrina would find herself in a bit of a rut in the middle of the round, missing putts on 3 consecutive holes.
I always use the excuse that if you have more putts, you have a chance to miss more putts. So that's my excuse. No, that's the thing. I don't, I'm not nervous or not confident. It's just not going in.
She was able to shake off those putting woes though, and here she is getting hot late in the round. Sawing it off a bit on hole 12, but you will take all the luck you can get as it rolls under the basket. Hole 13, the blind island hole. She's getting aggressive and it pays off with another tap in. Hole 14, looking to finish off that turkey. Turns out the answer to putting woes, just put it next to the basket. She would reel off 7 birdies in her last 8 holes, culminating here on hole 18, the tough 383-foot par 3. She plays the wind perfectly, and she'll come in with a 9 under par, leading the field now by 2.
I did finish with 2 good putts. Got kind of windy on us, 17 in that little, with the basket on the side of the hill, so that was a good one. And same on 18 because also the tee shot was really hard. So to execute that tee shot and make that putt to finish. That felt good.
The woman she was chasing down from the start, though, Evelina Salonen, would look to impress after a scorching hot 10:28 rated first round, but unfortunately today was just not her day. Here she is on hole 2, trying to get aggressive, playing that wide hyzer, but the wind picks it up and lifts it out of bounds. She is going to take that penalty stroke and a bogey 4. Evelina, though not out of it yet, would hammer on this turnover on hole 3, placing it perfectly inside the bunkers, and knocks in the circle's edge putt to boot. Hole 4, another hyzer play, this one 345 foot downhill that she...
We're back on hole 12, the infamous water tower hole. This is Chris Clemons throwing a huge forehand up there. He hits the water tower, but he's safe. A lot of times you see those sort of shots hit the water tower and roll out of bounds, but Clemons had some heat on that.
I'll refrain from any water tower jokes in reference to the heat that's coming.
Yeah, that sounds
Thankfully,
good.
there was. All right, here's Paul McBeth.
McBeth watching intently as that moves left.
Okay.
Little kiss off the water tower. A nice carom.
Yeah, and Paul McBeth is going to find himself inside about 22 feet looking at a birdie. You see the light winds pushing just over their back, maybe slightly left to right. The left banner gave me an indicator that it was pushing behind them, and this right banner that we see now looks like it's pushing left to right.
Keith absolutely needs to find the short grass here to stay close to the lead. This is a nice flat angle. Needs that to miss. These guys, okay, I'm telling you. All right, listen. If you're not on the lead card, you are not getting these kicks. So many people hit the water tower like that and just roll straight out of bounds. 3 good breaks so far for our lead card competitors. Barela looking to make it 4 after zooming it at the water tower. Oh, what do you know? Also in bounds.
I was just going to say, please don't roll out of bounds for him, though. All right, we're going to be back in a moment.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
We're back with Anthony Barela on 12's green. Difficult angle to the basket.
Yeah. There it is.
No difficulty whatsoever for Barela as he plays the hyzer putt in to perfection. From a similar spot, I think, to where we saw Michael Johansson throw in from with his forehand.
That's exactly what I was thinking as we saw Anthony lining up his putt.
Oh, and just a little bit high for Clemons. High and off the band. Certainly disappointed with his effort there as he accomplished the more difficult part of the hole, just staying in bounds.
And I do like the new nickname coming in off the board, AB, standing for another birdie.
Another birdie.
I like that one. Let's see if he can keep it rolling through the last 1/3 of the course.
Emerson Keith from circle 2. Nice smooth step putt. Gone on a bit of a roller coaster starting on hole 6, but looks as if he is stabilizing a bit.
And really, do you have any doubt as to Paul McBeth converting here?
No, I'm not one to jinx anybody, but this is the sort of distance that McBeth is just automatic on.
Good non-call there, Robert.
Yeah, I would never jinx anyone.
And Chris Clemons, unfortunately, going to be the only one without a birdie here on hole number 12. They have another lengthy walk, and they'll have another one after that, after they tee. But first, let's check in with Dixon Jowers from the sideline.
So after those couple of bad holes for Emerson, I was curious to listen to him to see kind of what he was thinking, what he was feeling. I go up behind him to hear what they're talking about. Dallas Cowboys, they're getting ready for football season. He's totally relaxed. You see he's bounced back with a couple of birdies, although I guess thinking about the Dallas Cowboys doesn't necessarily relax anybody. But, you know, he's from Dallas. What are you going to do? The other thing that's going on right now is that Paul's just cruising. He's like a machine right now. If you hadn't looked back at the rest of the World Championships that Paul has won, in every single one that Paul won, all 4 years, he was never in the lead after 2 rounds. He's been in this position before. He's not concerned. So they're going to make the long walk over to 13. We're going to get into that par 5, couple of throws over the water. Anything can happen with these last few holes. Let's see if Emerson can bounce back a little bit. Clemons can continue his steady round. Hopefully AB turns it around and slays the holes across the water.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Dixon. Great to hear of what's going on out on the course, getting that insight. We know football season right around the corner. So if there's one thing that disc golfers will take a break from when they're out on the course, talking about their rounds or the missed birdie or the OB line that they came close to, it's football, fantasy football, and having those conversations out there. So great to hear. Also very interesting to hear that Paul McBeth, after 2 rounds, hasn't been in the lead for the World Championships that he's claimed in the past. So right now, the battle continues to unfold. You have to keep an eye on both James Conrad, Kevin Jones, and Chris Dickerson. Throw him right in the mix as they all sit just a few strokes behind now. McBeth and Emerson clearly have 6 holes left to play to maybe rack up a few more birdies. They could keep their distance and extend it if they continue their hot rounds. But Kevin Jones, James Conrad said they're going to come out and do some work today. Jones is 9 down today. He has a single bogey, but he is 9 down through 15 holes. So he's on pace for a really solid round. And we look at the board, see if anyone else is making some moves. Wysocki is up 6 positions. Eric Oakley has moved up 6 positions as he's 10 under. Nate Sexton is on the rise, as is Simon Lizotte and Chris Dickerson. So a lot of guys moving up and onto the leaderboard, which means those guys that were sitting on that second and third card, they're not maybe holding their own. They're not performing where they'd like to.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we've got some hot rounds out there today. Obviously, we talked about Eagle McMahon, 14 under par on the day, bogey-free, 14 birdies, 4 pars. Incredible stuff. Simon Lizotte shooting around 11 under par. That's moved him up 6 spots into 6th place. And then 3 10 under pars already in the clubhouse. Chris Dickerson, Eric Oakley, and Ricky Wysocki. Those guys are going to be in a tie for 4th and 2 ties for 8th, respectively. And then a slew of 9 under pars. Kevin Jones still on the course shooting 9 under par right now, but in the clubhouse, Nate Sexton, Zach Johnson, Nico LaCastro, and Calvin Heimberg. Then just behind them, Paul McBeth, 8 under par, 6 holes to play. I think it's safe to say that McBeth, well, you know what? It's not safe to say because he birdied the last however many in a row at Ledgestone, but he would have to replicate that effort in order to match McMahon's 14 under on the day. However, he's in a fantastic position to leave round 3 with the lead.
Well, and I do a quick search here on UDisc, and I'm seeing 3 perfectly clean scorecards. One, of course, being Eagle McMahon, all right, as he shot the 14 under with no bogeys. The other one that I'm seeing may or may not be nearly as surprising as I believe I just saw Nate Sexton with a perfectly clean scorecard as well. No bogeys on the day. And then, of course, here on our card today, our lead card, Paul McBeth. So that in itself is, if anyone could say, yeah, I played all of that Lake Eureka course and I had no bogeys, even if you had 18 pars, you'd still be doing pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good. But if instead of that you switched out 10 of those pars for birdies, you'd be feeling pretty nice.
Yeah. And what a beautiful sight as we're taking a look here at hole 13. This is from across the lake where they'll be throwing to. And you see the crowd in the gallery, and they're still filtering down. I believe there's also a pro shop located out at Lake Eureka that people can stop in, pick up their World's merchandise. Of course, the World Championships with the presenting sponsor in Infinite Disc. Thank you so much to Infinite Disc and the PDGA.
This is a force on a big hyzer over the water for McBeth. And that's a fine spot. I think that's far enough past the tree that he'll have a good hyzer angle in. Keith will go back to his defender here. In an ideal world, landing in front of that tree or to the right side of that tree is better for your next shot into the green. But all of these guys have plenty of power to throw that shot around the next tree. Keith's line looking very similar to McBeth. And that's a great spot as well. Barela's got Champ Max here.
Oh,
He's going to hit the rocks and fall into the water. The hits just keep on coming for
just
Barela.
No break for Anthony. He hits inbounds and then bounces backward into the OB water.
Clemons will be last to throw. Forehand defender. Should be plenty safe. We've got a long walk around hole 13. We'll catch up with our competitors after a word from our sponsors.
Plays to perfection. After keeping pace early, she would find trouble starting here on hole 11, where she would find another out-of-bounds stroke, and again, not quite able to convert on that par save. Here she is missing the island on hole 13, getting just a bit too aggressive, lead to another bogey and a underperforming 1 under par out at sunset. Erica Stinchcomb here, first lead card experience at Worlds, would come out of the gates hot. Here on hole 4, she plays it nicely and knocks down the comebacker. She would fall off pace late, but let's not take away from the putts. Here she is on hole 5, knocking in a long one. Erica made some highlights and she is not upset despite her less than stellar finish.
No, I can keep my head held high. First lead card performance, it's at Worlds. I stayed under par. I'm very happy.
Someone else that's very happy is Kristen Tatar, who did in fact play her way all the way onto lead card, carding the 4 under par. She'll look to improve on her even par round from Northwoods Blue the first time around. And if she can take these numbers, hitting circle 2 in regulation 58% of the time, she should have no problem Navigating Northwoods Blue, young gun Valerie Manduhano had a subpar round, but she made some highlights, including this par save on hole 11 and on hole 17 as she finds trouble and here drops it in from distance. She is making a name for herself on the open stage this week. Checking in with our leaderboard through 2 rounds, Katrina Allen has the lead by 2 over Evelina Salonen. Kristen Tatar and Paige Pierce round out that lead card, chased by Erica Stinchcomb, Henna Blumrose, Sarah Holcomb, and Callie McMoran. Ellen Woodboom and Sarah Gilpin are going to round out.
Clemons has got a lengthy forehand out over the water, needing that to get back left. That's going to be in the water for Clemons, unfortunately. This whole play's pretty tough for the lefty over the water because you do want to finish out to the right side of that tree that Emerson is standing right beside. It's just so hard to challenge that spot. Keith has defender in his hand once again. Big hyzer to get to the landing spot. Keith with a smooth hyzer. This is tracking nicely. And that's a great spot for Keith. McBeth, this is basically from the garden. Should be a smooth hyzer. McBeth not trying to bite off too much here. Just a nice easy hyzer to set up. About a 325-foot approach to the green.
And what you're not seeing as we're looking at the ticker, so to speak, on the bottom, Emerson Keith sits at that 24 under, but Kevin Jones sits at 23 under, as does James Conrad. Chris Dickerson with his great round, he comes in with that 10 under, sits at 22. And Simon Lizotte has plenty of birdie opportunities that remain in the next 2 rounds. He's actually in the clubhouse as I was misreading that. But Simon Lizotte sits 21 under par overall. So, you know, there's really no surprises. Emerson Keith might be the name that you don't know as well on the top 2 or 3 cards. But as we're letting things shake out here, as we're moving into our 3rd round, no surprises with the names that are here.
That's exactly right. I mean, like we said before, Kevin Jones, you expect to see him at the top this year as he's moving up the leaderboard. Same with James Conrad. Both always contending for the top few spots. Chris Clemons has thrown this on hyzer out around the tree. I think that's gotten far enough back left. He should be in a decent position if it hasn't rolled toward the water.
As I was just looking a moment ago, again, top 20, if not the top 25 or 30, there is not one person that surprises me or someone that's not, you know, a regular when it comes to performing well at tournaments. And on the FPO side of things, I'm going to quickly shift gears, seeing that the international contingency is very strong with Evelina along with Henna both sitting in the top 4. We're going to see them on the lead card tomorrow morning. Evelina does have the outright lead at 13 under par with Katrina Allen, 12 under par. Paige Pierce sits a few strokes back at 7 and Henna at 6. There was a 3-stroke swing as the women rounded out their final hole of the day, with Evelina taking a birdie 3 on hole 18 over at Northwood, and Katrina taking a double bogey 6. So just goes to prove how volatile this really is out there.
That's exactly right. And that's surprising to see on 18, which is one of the easier holes on the Northwood course. Anthony Barela playing that safe hyzer yet again, landing uphill of the basket and kind of curling back a little bit. And we're going to have a little bit of some signal issue with our cameras as we move on to the next couple of holes. So we ask for your patience with that. We will do our best to give you the best shot that we have at the time. So we see there Barela's disc landing just safe, inbounds and putting back toward the water.
Well, and as we're looking at the image here on your screen, if you could throw straight across the water, which I know I couldn't, but I know some of our players could throw straight across from that point, you're essentially right around the basket of hole number 2.
Right.
And so we've known in the past 2 and 3 also have given us signal issues throughout the last few years. So it's just kind of this little section of the course where we sometimes find a few problems. Let's see if we can listen in. A moment ago, it looked like I saw Anthony Barela's touring partner and Adam Hammis out on the course. Maybe he's taken over for the caddy duty here out on the course.
There's Keith to approach the green. I believe this is an Opto Pioneer. A little tight of where he wanted that to land. That's going to be uphill of the basket, putting back down. Not an easy putt for Keith to card his birdie 4. We want to send a quick shout out to Will, and I'm going to try my best here, Will. Will Dobrzyzkowski.
Sure, yep.
Something like that. Carding the Lone Eagle 3 on the day today, throwing in from 245 feet. Well done, Will. That's a pretty good score. Pretty good 3 out here.
It certainly is.
You're probably going to get a better score than all of our lead card competitors, so that's something. McBeth tracking the basket here. Looks like that skipped just a little bit long of the basket, maybe 10 or 15 feet. Should be no problem for McBeth. Clemons with the triple X approach. And he puts it inside 10 feet. With the unfortunate OB, I believe that's going to be a 7 for Clemons.
All right, so as we're going to watch them move over to the green again, a little bit of challenge and maybe some stutter on the side of the technology there, giving us some struggles. But thank you guys so much for joining us here, Tara Miller, alongside Robert McCall. A little past the halfway point here for the World Championships. And one of the discussions that has been very prevalent throughout the week is the contrast of these two courses.
That's right.
Yesterday and tomorrow playing at the Northwoods course. Today playing, of course, here at the Eureka course. There may be more trees on any given hole at Northwoods than the entire course found out here at Lake Eureka. But certainly the rope and the out of bounds along with the water here at Eureka provides all of its own challenge. And if the winds are up, that provides yet an additional challenge here for our competitors. But it seems as if a lot of the players at the press conference were talking about just how much they enjoy that these two courses really complement one another. Very wooded, tight and challenging, and then you come out to Eureka a little bit more open.
Yeah, open, but still a lot of artificial OB.
And here's Anthony Barela hoping to cash this in. That needs to sit down. Oh, no, that needs to sit down as it's...
And that's just insult to injury for Barela. Totally unnecessary by the basket as that rolls away. Keith staring down a putt from a similar distance. He's going to take a knee to get more on eye level with the basket. Circle 2 opportunity upcoming for Emerson. There is certain rollaway potential to OB behind the basket here. Oh, and just off the side. That is on edge, but has sat down. Emerson will still be able to card the par. You see Emerson just taking an extra minute to contemplate what's happened on this hole. Really not a bad putt that was set up by the less than ideal third shot into the green. Just a little bit too high for Emerson's liking, but that's going to be par for Barela. And I misspoke earlier, bogey 6 for Clemons. Easy birdie for McBeth. I feel like we've said that a whole lot of times today. He's going to move to 9 under par on the day through 13, a perfectly clean scorecard. And that's going to extend his lead to 6 over the tie for second with Emerson, Keith, Kevin Jones, and James Conrad.
So we pan over, they're going to have a brief walk. Let's take a look at what we're going to see on hole 14.
This is one of our more difficult par 4s on the course, 8th most difficult today. A third of the open field carding the birdie 3. Basically, shots that land near the tree on the left side of the screen will have an opportunity to attack the green. Anything in front of that is excellent. This green does slope down from left to right toward the water's edge and also slopes down behind the basket. Playing it just over 800 feet, the first shot doesn't feel that long because it's a little bit of a downhill, but the second shot goes back uphill just a little bit and feels like every bit of a 400 or 425 foot shot to reach this green.
And right now you have to be thinking, or maybe he is or isn't thinking about the overall score for Paul McBeth. Obviously on pace to match what we saw by Eagle McMahon, as Eagle has broke and set now the new course record at 14 under par. And Paul McBeth has missed 4 holes for birdie. So if he were to find himself birdieing out, of course, plenty of work to do, he would in fact tie Eagle McMahon. I think we've heard that it is unofficially rated 1107 is what I think I heard somewhere.
That was earlier today. Right now it's at 1102.
Okay.
I sincerely hope that remains an 1100 rated round. That is an incredible round out here.
And McBeth asking for it to get down. And just barely looks like he's stayed safe. The crowd is clapping as if it's safe. I'm not sure if they can tell for sure. It may be hidden from them, and I can't tell for certain from there, but I do believe that is still inbounds. Very close, though.
Keith will be next to throw. I believe that's his Explorer for him yet again. Not a bad shot for Emerson at all. Just short of that little ditch where there is bad footing. He should be in a pretty decent position to attack the green. And possibly our most interesting statistics so far today, Anthony Barela through 13 holes has 0 pars on the day. Good shape for Barela, but we're unsure where that landed.
Look for that finish tomorrow on Jomez Pro. They have they had the better angle.
Clemons standing up a beautiful tee shot here. Just needs that to land softly. Wow, what a great tee shot from Clemons.
Exactly what he's looking for. We'll be back after a word from these partners.
Poison ivy's itchy rash ruins the best day outdoors. Zanfel gives immediate relief, washes away the toxin, stops the horrific itch. Safe for kids and pets. No downtime. Got poison ivy? Get Zanfel. It works.
SmashBoxxTV would like to thank the following sponsors: the PDGA, Infinite Discs, Discraft, the DGA, Prodigy Discs, the City of Peoria, and all of these other generous sponsors.
Again, thank you to all of our supporters, the partners of the tournament, as well as our broadcast, all of our Super Chat supporters, any new subscribers, and more than 7,500 people watching. We'd love for you guys to go out, like, and share the video. Let everyone know you're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV, as we are pushing through our third round at the World Championships tomorrow morning, live with the FPO lead card here at Sunset Hills.
Keith with probably just over 400 feet into the screen. Defender on hyzer yet again. Beautiful shot for Keith up inside circle one. Just above the basket, maybe 15 feet remaining.
All right, looks like we're going to get a, well, we like to refer to that as the reverse blimp angle.
Yes.
So if we point straight up into the sky, that's one of the many commercial assets that we're working on here.
Yeah,
the reverse blimp.
We might catch a disc flying over. Probably not.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they'd want to watch the action, but still.
So if you know of anyone that's operating a blimp that flies upside down at the moment, we would love to have them partner here with the broadcast. And Paul McBeth lining up his second shot. And he's got plenty of room as he kind of kneels down. And that's coming in. And Paul McBeth putting himself inside 20 feet.
Is there a shot he can't throw? Like, is there a position that he can't get out of and make it look easy?
It just sounds like it seems as if he's got everything firing on all cylinders today. And as soon as he's about to reach any bit of adversity, he finds a way to get out of it or makes a clutch shot. Here's Chris Clemons.
Clemons takes Warhorse on forehand. Just wanted to play safe of the water. That's going to come up short of the green, probably right around circle two's edge. That's kind of a scary putt for Clemons. And look at McBeth's scorecard right now. 9 under through 13, 2 out of bounds strokes from which he saved par on both. 77% circle two in regulation. Incredible stuff from McBeth so far today. Barela had to force something out over the water to get to this green. And he gets it inside the circle. That's a technically beautiful shot from Barela. Low hanging branches in his face and then a pretty large bush in the middle of the fairway that he had to navigate. Does it with relative ease.
He'll be putting back at the basket from inside 30 feet. See Bobby Brown, Cool Daddy Slick Breeze out there taking some photos.
That's a good looking shirt, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
We called each other. We coordinated.
Of course you did. I wouldn't expect anything less of the crew over there at Dynamic Discs. And we're going to take another quick look at the leaderboard. Man, just think a few holes ago when we were talking about Paul and Emerson, stroke for stroke, all before hole number 8, really. And now we see the separation of the two of them with McBeth with this 6-stroke lead in. Kevin Jones, James Conrad right there, ready to claim their spot on that lead card tomorrow. Chris Dickerson sits at that 22 under par, as does Simon Lizotte. And I think it's fair to say, not only are we going to see McBeth in the lead tomorrow, the real question is how many clear of second place will he be?
That's right. As of right now, he sits at 6 clear of second. Looks like there are a couple of good birdie opportunities upcoming for both Keith and McBeth.
Anthony Barela is going to put this in for birdie.
Yes, he is.
Nice.
I like the reverse jinx.
Yes.
It's worked twice now for you, both for Anthony Barela.
I want to see Anthony Barela finish strong here. He does continue a streak of no pars.
I wonder, so Matt or Josh, you're probably not out on the board because you're out at the course, but can we get a statistic on if there has ever been a par-free round?
Well,
with birdies, with birdies included.
Well, McBeth's
a par-free
no,
round.
you're right. You're right. As McBeth had to get eagles to get to 18 under that guy. All right, let's move over to hole 15.
Hole 15 is the last of the, I guess, kind of simple holes here at Eureka Lake, 315 feet uphill. Plays more like 350 or 360 feet. Player's going to take either a nice forehand out to the left side of this tree in the middle, which does have a Mando, or they can take a big arcing right-hand backhand working up to the right. 43% of the MPO field taking the birdie 3 and 48% carding, the birdie 2, 48% carding the par 3. Fourth easiest hole in the course so far today. As I said, quite a bit uphill.
Well, and a bogey for us here, Robert, as the board has pointed out, with AB actually seemingly going out of bounds on the previous shot, as he got up and down from there, that actually was his par.
Oh, he was out of bounds.
Which is something I don't think that you or I necessarily recognized right away. So I do apologize. That's definitely a bogey on our part. I said it earlier today that I had made a mistake by calling Eagle McBeth someone or other. And that wouldn't be my last mistake. Well,
you're usually only allowed 2 before you're kicked out, though. So,
all right. Well, I'm sure everyone's fingers are crossed.
Tighten up there, buddy. Mind your P's and Q's.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us. We're moving over, like you said, to hole number 15. Would you say statistically, maybe whether you say it or the statistics say it, I feel like this is one of the easier holes out on the course?
It is. It is, certainly. A bit of a reprieve coming off of some pretty difficult holes in 13 and 14.
Yeah. And interesting to see. I believe this is one of the few holes, one of the 4 holes that, that Eagle McMahon missed. And I think of this as one of the easier holes on the course, rated 15th most difficult, but this is one that he actually missed for the birdie. Kind of very surprised by that.
Yeah, this should be a pretty standard forehand up the hill for McMahon. This is going to be Luna for McBeth, so this is a big turnover. It sounded like McBeth said turn it as he let that go. Didn't quite get the right movement that he was looking for, but he's pinned high, 25 or 30 left. Keith with a very proficient forehand. Looks like he slipped a little as he released that, but that's still got plenty of distance to get up to the basket. Barela with possibly the best angle of the bunch so far. Inside McBeth from there.
Safe to say this hole sets up very well for Chris Clemons.
Yes,
just right in his wheelhouse.
Nice little uphill lefty hyzer for Clemons. Looks like he's gone enforcer, and he's thrown it pretty well, just a bit short.
And we'll be back after a word from these sponsors.
For the dreamers, the planners, thrill seekers, and chill seekers. For the adventurous, the curious, the creative, and the passionate. For the young and the young at heart. For her, for him, for everyone.
Star Wombat 3. This is a new addition to Garrett Gurthie's bag. This is the most utilizable disc that you can make do whatever you want. Throw it with the hyzer line low, it'll hold the hyzer. If I throw it with a little hyzer, throw it a little high, it pops up straight and holds the line straight. If I throw it for backhand about 60-70% and let it go about 380, 400. I'm gonna be getting a bunch of birdies with this at the World Championships this year.
So we saw the message brought to us by Innova and Double G, Garrett Gurthie, out there doing some work today. He had a pretty good round, coming in at 8 under par for the round, moving himself up 2 spots into a tie for 15th today. Double G also, during the opening ceremonies here at the Worlds, was awarded the Bob West Sportsman of the Year award, and I think anyone that's ever been around him could say that is rightfully given to him with the charismatic demeanor he brings out to the course every single day.
McBeth knew that out of his hand, a little bit low and right. That's rolled maybe 20 feet away. So we can confidently say, unless McBeth finds a way to eagle, McMahon's 14 under course record is going to be safe today. Oh, and McBeth misses a short putt. Wow, that's probably the least expected manner in which McBeth would take his first and only bogey of the day so far.
Oh, and that did a little dance on the left side of the chains.
Clemons just kind of raises his hands like, well, all right. Barela is in for birdie, and Keith is absolutely parked for birdie, and that's going to cut McBeth's 6-shot deficit into 4. That was extremely unexpected.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. But thankfully, we've got Dixon Jowers to give us an update.
All right, this is pretty interesting. I thought as we were walking up the fairway, I was talking with Paul, and he said, man, I just want to get done with this round. I'm tired of putting. He was hoping that disc would turn over a little more. He said he was landing it on the hay bales in practice, and he said that everything outside of 20 feet, he said, it feels like it's taking a year off my life right now. So the putt was already in his head of just he's had so many testers already. I didn't think that really messed with him. Maybe there's a little bit of chink in the armor here. That 2-shot swing now goes back onto Emerson's favor. Maybe he can knock a couple more off heading in, and instead of feeling like, oh man, I just gave away everything, maybe Emerson can get something rolling here. However, generally when Paul gets mad at something he's done, that does not mean good things for the next few holes. I have a feeling he's going to birdie the rest of these holes. Let's go take a look.
And Dixon Jowers Again, getting a little bit more of the on-course updates and information. Thank you so much, Dixon. Interesting to hear that Paul has been, although you would never know it by watching him execute, the fact that some of these putts have been weighing on him a little bit mentally is somewhat surprising to hear.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the way that they hit dead center every single time would make you believe he just walks up and is like, yeah, all right, I'll toss this.
I wish I was getting that stressed out when I was shooting 10 or 12 under.
Yeah, that's, really surprising for McBeth. So Keith cutting the deficit back to 4. It's going to take the tee on hole 16. Back to the Explorer. Keith playing the long, flat turnover. He needs this to get down to the ground quickly. That's faded OB.
Oh, no.
Emerson's gotten some applause, but he's going to have to throw a good second shot to get up and down for his par 4.
Unfortunately, the gallery that is up near the tee did not see where that landed and was just really applauding the nice long shot, but that is out of bounds. That's going to need to stand up for Anthony Barela. It goes into the out of bounds area, but it's fighting back towards the inbounds. Will it get there?
That touched inbounds right near the disc, but ultimately will settle out of bounds for Barela. Clemons with the smooth shot.
Great
down the left side of the fairway. That's going to give him a really nice shape into the green as a lefty.
So now we'll see how Paul can respond. He is setting up for a roller here.
Yeah, Avenger SS for McBeth on this roller.
And we'll see how this stands up for McBeth.
This angle looks so good. That is so far up the fairway. Wow. You can all but guarantee McBeth is going to take a stroke back from Keith here with that tee shot.
We'll be back in a moment.
Bag tags are a great way to get the word out about your local disc golf scene or event. With the included loop, both traveling players and locals can represent your local scene wherever they go. And ordering is easy. The minimum quantity is 25 tags with discounts for larger orders. You can use your own artwork or we'll help you with a design. The tags are made of a durable plastic and are about the size of a credit card. With optional two-sided printing and discounted prices for non-numbered tags, we've got enough options to make your...
Clemons pretty much disgusted with that effort out of his hand. That was going to have to be a bit of a flex to get down to the basket on the right, but just a bit of a missed release for Clemons.
I don't think I hyzered out 90 degrees, guys. He gave me here, my disc is there.
It was coming in hard left. It was somewhere right 5 feet to the back. It was past this tree.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
So Emerson having a quick conversation with the group.
This will be another justice forehand for Keith. A little bit of a tricky angle to make sure he gets up over the hill.
Oh, no.
And that has hit the tree by the basket, but settled just fine for Keith. For a second, it looked like it had careened into oblivion.
Yeah.
But we're good.
So Emerson looking at the par 4 here. Even with Anthony's tall stature, he's still got to go up and verify exactly where his aiming point is. Nice little forehand. Looks like a little bit light. And he's going to be left with a tester here of 22, maybe 25 feet.
Clemons will be next to throw from probably right around 180 feet. Just a little touch up shot. A little bit long, maybe 20 feet coming back.
We see both Kevin Jones and James Conrad both in the clubhouse now at their 24 under par, still very much in contention for the championship here. Chris Dickerson had moved up his 4 spots to get to that 22 under par. He'll be, well, I can't say he for sure will be on the chase card here tomorrow. Anything could happen. We could see him potentially even move up more. I think we're all but locked in on McBeth, Keith, Jones, and Conrad, though, for our lead card tomorrow. Here's Paul McBeth for Eagle.
He's taking an extra minute, so you know he's going to be aggressive. Hits the pole on the fly. Perfect direction, just not quite enough height. I hate it when I'm running my 110 footers and just hit dead center pole.
I think they call that a dot.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot, you know. Golly. If you haven't played a lot of disc golf, or maybe you just kind of throw from 110 feet. Oh, and that's off right side for Barela.
The tester has gotten him.
If you haven't played much, the wrist power to generate the spin to keep that disc flat long enough to get to the basket is, I mean, that's elite stuff for McBeth. Not that he's not an elite player across the board, but just to note, that's so difficult to do, and he makes it just look like, oh, it's just a long putt. Good up and down for Clemons for his par. Barela is in for yet another bogey. Keith is going to clean up his par, and McBeth with a super drop-in birdie.
So quite the recovery that we saw from the 3-putt there on hole number 15. They're going to have a brief walk. We're going to move over. Actually, I think we're going to go. I was incorrect. I said hole 15. We were just on 16. They're going to have a brief walk over to 17.
It's 17 coming in as the 5th easiest hole on the course. Once again, take away the water and the OB long, and this is routine that, I don't know, 90% of the field should birdie. But players do have to land on the grass safe across the water. They also have a left to right boundary. Probably from the water's edge to the path behind the basket is only about 35 feet. This hole has been played under par by 64% of the MPO field, only 6% carding the par. As you said earlier that Josh Anthon said, it's either a 2 or a 4. If you land safe, you're almost always making that birdie putt. If you go OB, you're almost always getting up and down for the par. Bogey, pardon me. McBeth has got Big Z Luna in his hand for the shot over the water. This is a perfect angle if the distance is correct.
And it is, as he just creeps over the side and lands within 20 feet of the pin. Now this can be, I feel like this can really be a boost of confidence. Emerson Keith puts this on the green, walks away with the birdie, likely matching McBeth. They'll go into 18, probably not too much change that can happen here, but hopefully Emerson can finish here the round with a little boost of confidence.
Stiletto for Keith. Tracking nicely.
Maybe almost the assist off McBeth's disc there.
Yeah, just kind of waving as it passes by.
Yeah, saying I'm going to get a little closer than you. You're trying to pull away, but I'm still right here, pal.
I'm here to play, man.
I got to buy diapers.
Clemons with a forehand.
Needs the distance. Good shot as well.
Nicely done. He's going to be in a good spot to collect the birdie there. Barela last to tee.
We'll see if Barela can card the birdie. It needs to get there, and it does. Left side, and they're going to have a long walk around the side of the lake. We'll be back in a moment.
Bruce Willis was a ghost. Gwyneth Paltrow's head is in the box. Snape kills Dumbledore. Mrs. Bates was dead. Ross and Rachel end up together. Rosebud was the sled. Tyler Durden doesn't exist. Vader is Luke's father. Ned Stark is killed in Season 1. Miss Voorhees was the killer. Soylent Green is people. This is a public service announcement. There are no spoilers in sports. Watch live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Introducing TrueDisc, an innovative new scorekeeping app for your smartphone. TrueDisc ensures that you get the most accurate data possible at all times. Not sure if you walked a little bit too far when you measured your last throw? TrueDisc stamps every misrepresented throw with our trademarked Internet Distance Badge before you can share it to social media. Buy TrueDisc in the App Store or Google Play for just 4 easy payments of $19.99 plus shipping and handling. But wait, there's more! Call in the next 20 minutes and upgrade to TrueDisc Pro for free. TrueDisc Pro allows you to get honest advice from the AI Pro of your choice.
Hey, Germ, think I can make it over the pond?
Yeah, sure, Simon. Go for it.
I'm Andrew.
You know what? Go for it, but go for it with a Big Germ Thunderbird. That way you can buy another one after you throw this in the water.
Paige, should I throw a putter or a mid-range here?
So what is going to give me the most confidence to hit the gap? Will it be the soft beat of a putter? Will it be the sharper edge of a mid-range?
There it is.
Barela maintaining the single par round so far today as he is in for birdie.
All right, looks like we're going to have a star frame. And with that, further solidifying who we will see on our lead card tomorrow, Emerson Keith with the CTP. Paul McBeth pushes to 32 under par. Emerson Keith, 27. How are they going to attack 18?
18 is on the more difficult side of things. The tree just to the right of the drone is a Mando here. Drives are either going to want to land short here so that they can go out over the water left, or push past this concrete portion to open up even just a decent look into the green. The green is pretty sharp sloped from right to left, down toward the water's edge, OB behind the basket as well. The most effective play for birdie is a roller that gets way up there, gives you a look down. Otherwise, a lot of players will play a little bit short and play for that big Anheuser or forehand out over the water. Yeah, this is playing as our 6th most difficult hole on the day. Only 19 players carding birdie threes today.
We're going to head over to the tee here on 18. As this round started at 2:30. By the time we get done, it looks like we'll have almost exactly a 3-hour round, maybe just a few minutes more than that. Let's see.
Really quick pace for a world tournament round.
Jeff Corns of Team Discmania, along with Taco, along with Adam Hammis, all hanging out there chatting. Bobby Brown snapping some photos. Nate Heinold out there trying to sell some insurance.
This isn't the time, Nate.
If you need a quote, make sure you check in with Nate Heinold.
It's a disc golf tournament. It's not time for insurance. This would be Avenger SS for McBeth on a roller once again.
That's going to need to stand up. And if that gets
I think he's going to love this angle. If it just beats, I thought it was going to be high enough to beat that. He's got a little bit of work to do, but he's got a nice cushion of 5 shots over Emerson Keith in second place.
So with that shot, let's just go ahead and project that Paul could get up and down and then ultimately walk away with a par here. At best, I think we would see Emerson Keith with a birdie, and that would bring Emerson within 4 strokes of McBeth. We'll see how this plays out. I think that is best case scenario right now for Emerson.
Emerson playing the hyzer flip up the middle.
Oh, this is crushed. Oh,
that is
get going, get going.
Oh, wow, what a shot by Keith. Did it kick off the tree up this way too? That is, however it happened, that's picture perfect position. Probably the best air shot we've ever seen on this hole.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen a better shot in the air here on hole 18. And Chris Clemons up next has to follow that.
So smooth from Clemons. He's probably playing for that kind of shorter landing zone so that he can throw a big lefty hyzer out over the water.
Let's see.
Barela smashing a Star Destroyer. Wow. That's crushed as well.
Great shot by Anthony. We're going to move down our final fairway. We'll be back in a moment.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
Looks like we're going to rejoin Chris Clemons in the fairway here.
He's a little bit too long to play the big hyzer out of the water, so he's going to have to sneak something in there. Oh, okay, well, you don't have to be on the perfect spot to get inside the circle if you're a lefty.
Nearest spot available. I don't have to go the whole way, do I? What's that? I don't have to go the whole way, do I?
You don't have to.
You can throw it from where it lies or behind, but not necessarily.
So it's like optional?
Yeah,
he may play as lies, or he can take the optional route.
You may do that if you wish.
Yeah, oh, jeez.
I've seen it on video before. You won't do it with me. You won't do it.
It's like, do I have to be on the line or what?
Oh,
So to read directly from the T sign or from the caddy book, it says, for disc coming to rest within the casual areas marked with the white paint, players may take free relief on the line of play, no closer to the target, to the nearest point behind the painted line.
And that I believe that's a change from Ledgestone because you were able to take up to 5 meters off of the concrete. So McBeth forced to take, if he could take even maybe 1 or 2 feet forward, he'd have a much cleaner angle over the water if it was that up to 5 meters rule. But instead, he's going to have to play from behind that white line. It's an interesting, I guess, addendum to the course rules here. This should be force out over the, oh, no, that may be Zeus.
Was with the high forehand shot. He's got to worry just slightly about any kind of roll. We've seen some crazy things with Chris Dickerson in the past.
Goes.
Oh, no.
Wow. And that that was on a spike angle coming down, hit a tree, stayed on the edge. So that has rolled down to the water. That's going to be well outside circle 2. Tough break for McBeth there.
Yeah, I think back to watching Chris Dickerson a while ago, a year or two ago when he was charging here. He threw a really good shot that came in that then got up and rolled more than 50 feet all the way into the water.
So slowly. I want to say that was like a soft putter shot too. It wasn't coming in on a big spike angle like that one, you know.
And here's Barela. We'd love to see him card a birdie, which he's gonna do.
Barela with the single par round.
And here it is again, Anthony Barela with the low, screaming forehand shot. AB stands for about to be in the basket.
About to be in the basket, yeah. You just have to skip a couple of words and then you're there.
We'll go with that. So now, I know I was just talking about best case scenario for Emerson. It may even get better if he can get up and down, possibly walking away with a birdie here.
Pioneer on forehand for Keith. Tracking nicely.
Sit
Needs
down,
that
sit
to
down.
Sit.
Sit
That
down.
is on edge.
There it is. Oh, no.
Okay, it's safe. It's safe.
Again, every time I see a shot come into this green, you have to be thinking about it possibly getting up and finding its way to the water. That one finally sat down, and he'll be looking at an uphill putt inside the circle for a birdie. You can hopefully all but count that for Emerson.
I guess it's possible that McBeth just could have gotten caught up in the tall grass there and be safe. So it looks like McBeth's disc did land safe, just hanging on the grass out over the water's edge there. McBeth lays it right underneath the basket with that forehand zone. He'll finish with another round of 11 under par, the same score that he shot out here during the first day. This is Clemons for birdie and a spot on the chase card tomorrow if he converts. And he's unable to do so. This is Emerson for his birdie to take one more back from McBeth. Cut the deficit to 4. And he's done exactly that.
So a little bit more excitement than I anticipated after seeing the initial shot off the tee, but that's exactly how it unfolded. Emerson able to pick up the single stroke on McBeth. Like you said, that deficit. Anthony Barela, we mentioned, comes in ultimately with a 7 over par on the round, carding the lone par back on hole number 14. And unfortunate to see him struggle as he did today. Chris Clemons.
He's let the hair down for 18. All sense of decorum is lost.
We know that our group is going to add up all of the scorecards. They're going to make things official. We may or may not have an interview. It sounds like we may have Steve Hill of the PDGA may catch up with one of our players. I'm going to guess that might be Paul McBeth, but I'm uncertain. And until then, we can do our version of recapping the day of what we saw here today. Just pretty incredible stuff and a few jaw-dropping moments out here, Robert.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, start out the day, everyone in a good position other than Anthony Barela, who started out 4 bogeys in a row, followed by 2 triples in a row. Just a tough start for Barela. He's going to end up shooting 7 over par. And like somebody on the board said earlier, McBeth bested Barela's score today by 18 throws. Wow. That is that's happened to me once before in a tournament. A guy on my card shot a 1092 or something like that. I had my worst round that I've ever had. And to watch somebody excel when you are struggling so mightily, that's just really tough to do. And that was at a B tier in Texas, not the World Championships. And so feel for Barela in that. Good on him to, collect some birdies throughout the rest of the course. Ended up carding 7 birdies on the day as well as his lone par. But yeah, story of the day, I think, at the top is Paul McBeth, another 11 under par, just playing incredibly consistent golf. His only bogey of the day coming on 2 missed putts in a row. Everything else really solid, exactly what you'd expect to see. Emerson Keith hanging strong in there. He had 2 single bogeys and a double that dropped him off of the pace just a bit. He's going to be 4 back of McBeth after today's round. And then 2 big moves from Kevin Jones and James Conrad, both sitting at 24 under par after today's round. Rounds of 10 under par and 9 under par, respectively, for those gentlemen.
Well, and what really jumps out at me, obviously, Emerson Keith giving back those strokes. It was in a very concentrated part of the course. So I took a quick look, and I see that during round 1, Emerson Keith, as he played holes 6, 7, 8, and 9, he shot them in 3 under par. He took 3 birdies out of 4 holes. Today he comes out, he has 2 bogeys, a double bogey, and a birdie in that same stretch. So if I do some math, I believe that means he shot 3 over in that stretch.
Yeah.
So that was a full 6-stroke swing in those 3 holes.
And that's the difference between his round, the first round, and that 6 under and 12 under.
Exactly. Wow, man, we are good at math.
Man,
Robert.
we did it.
We did it. So it's incredible. So I think that's where the entire story of this round can be told, in that 4-stroke swing right there in the middle of the course. Huge kudos and mad props to Emerson Keith to then come back into the back 9, where he carded 6 out of 9 birdies on the back, so still finished very strong. He did get it back together, so to speak. He had that little hiccup in the middle, but to come back and to finish as strong as he did, incredible. Meanwhile, Paul McBeth if you dare say he struggled somewhere, you could say it was on the back. He had 2 pars and a bogey on the back, all among his 6 birdies.
Big time struggles to only shoot 5 under on the back here.
I think there's a hashtag McBeth problems
That's
out
right,
there.
yeah. If it's not out there already, it should be soon. We'll take a look at some of the other hot rounds on the day. Like we said, Eagle McMahon shooting the 14 under par, bogey-free, 49. Just unbelievable for Eagle McMahon. Then a couple of 11 under pars from Paul McBeth and Simon Lizotte. Then a few 10 unders. Kevin Jones, Chris Dickerson, Eric Oakley, and Ricky Wysocki, each moving up a handful of spots to get themselves into a little bit better position. And then a few 9 under pars to round out the group there. Lots of 8 unders. A lot more people under par this today than it felt like the first round. Yeah, so good stuff all around from the MPO field. We are going to have one more round at Lake Eureka after another round at Northwood. Like we said, this seems to be where the largest stroke swings could happen. Most players who play well at Northwood are going to be in that 5 to 6 range. Some people are going to pop off, but as we saw from Anthony Barela today, this course can bite you a little bit more if you find that OB.
Well, and what I find interesting is when I think about some of the previous rounds out here and the hottest scores ever, all of those hot scores are coming from the guys that shot the hottest scores today. So clearly there's some people that dial in and really like and play well at this course, and a lot of them showed up and did just that today. Maybe no surprise there, but it was really great to see. So I believe we're going to have Paul McBeth along with Steve Hill out there in the field, and we'll catch up with them and see if we can get a word from them before we close things out.
All right, we are here with Paul McBeth, new leader at Pro Worlds. I'm sensing a little frustration after how the final stretch there. First, let's go back to hole 15. Walk me through what happened back there.
15, that's when I 3-putted. I was just tired of putting. I was literally tired of putting at that point, and I just was walking up with not the right mindset. It was just, I didn't feel like I was putting the disc close enough leading up to that point, and it was just frustration because I threw the disc poorly off the tee shot, and same mistake I made last time we were here, and I just wasn't happy about it. I should have stepped away and kind of just regrouped and putted like I was going to make it rather than just being like I'm tired of putting. So it leaked into the next putt after that and 3-putted. You know, I should have shot better than what I did.
And then coming down the stretch, 18, you're off to the side there with a tricky lie for the forehand. What was the thought process there to go for that forehand?
I was pinched up against that wall. You get the relief now, which is great, but I think I was just still too close to it, so I had to put it out wide, which kind of cut the distance out of it. But I still think if it didn't hit the base of that tree and roll like 100 feet backwards, I would have been circle's edge, if not in the circle. So I put it where I wanted, short right, and let it just bounce up towards the basket. But fortunately, hit the base of the tree and rolled way back there to where I had to just forehand the upshot and not even have a look at birdie.
Now, you came into the round down. You got a little bit of separation. What were your expectations coming into this round?
Just kind of do what I did the first round. I think double digits is my goal for each round. I really want to get to 50 under for the tournament, so if I can do that, I feel like that's a very hard. I think really only 1 or 2 people can get there now. So if I can get to 50, that's my ultimate goal.
And then, you were kind of the elder statesman in terms of experience on the card today. You watch someone like AB have some real struggles early, Emerson in the middle. What have you learned from over the years that helps keep you out of difficult stretches like that?
Just staying here in the moment in the round. I think at least for AB, he had other things on his mind rather than playing the round, which it's easy when you mess up a shot or get frustrated to just think of where else you could be. So at least for AB, I don't know about Chris or Emerson. Emerson's obviously got the baby story, but yeah. So I just think that his mind was somewhere else during that round, and for me, I just kept putting my hands up to the side and just kind of pretend like I had the blinders on and just focus on each shot.
And then going back to Northwood tomorrow, you were pretty clean there yesterday. Do you build in some mistakes in your brain tomorrow, or do you expect to go out and do the exact same thing?
I'd like to, the holes that I played successful, replicate that. But I think just starting off a little just starting off better, getting a few more birdies on the front half. I think that's really where the scoring is for everyone. In the back half, I love the challenge there, so it kind of keeps me focused and just kind of wake up a little sooner on that course.
Once again, that is Paul McBeth, current leader through 3 rounds of Pro Worlds, and we will send it back to you guys in the booth. Thank you.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Anything else?
Nope, I think you're good.
All right. So as we heard, thank you to Steve Hill for giving us some insights for Paul McBeth. Interesting for Paul McBeth, who is a very close friend of the family with the Barelas. I know he has spent time at their house when he's traveled to Arizona and plays at the Memorial. He usually actually stays there with them.
Yeah.
And he's known him for many years. In fact, many people have called AB for a while. We're calling him like a mini McBeth. And then,
Right.
Well, and then he grew to like 9 feet
he's
tall.
like quite a bit taller than him. But whatever.
Exactly. So, and that's really interesting insight to hear if there was maybe something else that Paul knows about that's on Anthony's mind. Yeah. Hopefully, whatever it is, that it's getting sorted out and that he'll be able to come back tomorrow and be mentally strong and ready to go for that round. Any other takeaways from what we just heard from Paul?
No, I mean, like he said, he wants to get to 50 under par. I would say that's a pretty good mark to be at.
Yeah.
To go 10 under par 5 times on average through these 2 courses is pretty incredible stuff. So yeah, I mean, he seems to be charging. Really, the only way that I see McBeth getting beat at this point is if somebody like Emerson or maybe Kevin Jones, James Conrad catches absolute fire and throws down, a 13 or 14 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be within striking range because McBeth is not going to go out to Eureka on the last day and shoot like a 5. It's just not going to happen.
Yep.
That's
I
it.
can see that.
I mean, we've got 2 more rounds. We do a cut after this next round, and then we got the finals back at Eureka on the men's side. Then on the FPO side, y'all are going to be back at Sunset tomorrow.
Yes,
correct?
we will be here. Sunset is a gracious host, not only of our booth, but of course of 3 out of the 5 rounds for the FPO. And we're looking at the scores now to kind of lead you out of tonight and into tomorrow morning, where we hope that you rejoin us. Evelina Salonen sits in the lead right now at 13 under par. Katrina Allen at that 12 under par, and rounding out the lead card, Paige Pierce and Hannah Blumross sit at 7 and 6 under par respectively. Again, crazy change 2 days ago. We saw Katrina Allen live yesterday make up all of those strokes. She went from a 6-stroke deficit to a 2-stroke advantage as of this morning, and then turn around today and gave up 3 strokes on the final hole to relinquish that 2-stroke advantage into the 1-stroke deficit. So clearly it is a very tight and highly contested battle, and we're looking forward to bringing you that live coverage tomorrow morning. So we're going to close things out. Of course, we just can't say it enough how much we appreciate all of you guys joining us. I want to thank Robert McCall for joining me in the booth. We've got Gary to the O along with Ryan Pilcher and Joey Tamale out in the field chasing around discs, working those cameras and the inverted blimp. We appreciate it. Also, Johnny V back at the controls in our studio in Milwaukee. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. And one final time for Robert McCall, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. That was round number 3 here for the Pro World Championships. We're going to leave you with some highlights before we head into tomorrow morning's round. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox. What's going on?